unlike what's his name? I can't think of it now. Unlike Joel Embiid, Al Horford is actually old and shouldn't play in back-to-backs. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid is in his late 20s and should play in back-to-backs. You seem very focused right now.
Yeah, because we're live, dude.
Oh right. Oops. The thing didn't
Duh.
even the thing didn't come up. I usually get like a notification. That's weird. And then usually the lady yells at us.
Well, I haven't hit record yet. We're live. I just haven't hit record yet, bro.
Oh shit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 215 of Salvaggio and Cratty, here for you again on another Wednesday night, 7:02 p.m. Patriots won 19-3 against the Bears. The Bruins maybe have kick-started turning things around. We'll see. And the Red Sox are in the mix on some players and maybe doing some stuff. We'll see. We'll talk about all that right here. Before then, as always, Ryan, how are you?
Doing good. The Interest Kings, they are back, as you just said. The Red Sox involved in a lot of stuff. We're going to probably end the show on that, though. Patriots get, like you said, I don't want to say, surprising is probably not the right word, win. And then I'll spoil it. I am on the side of the camp or the side of the fence that does not think the Bruins are back. I think they're just delaying the inevitable at this point, as we kind of talked about last night briefly. But obviously a lot to get into tonight, so I'm not going to delay any further.
Alrighty then. Let's not delay any further then. 19-3 win for the Patriots on the road in the Windy City. And we'll start with studs and duds as usual.
Yeah, my number three stud from this game against the Bears. Austin Hooper, he kind of took the role of Hunter Henry in this game from a reliability standpoint. The stat line's not going to be anything to write home about. 3 catches, 4 targets, 64 yards on 41 snaps played. That was 64% of them. Had that great catch. You could argue it was just as good as a throw that Drake May made on, I believe it was like the 4th play of the Patriots' first drive, if I'm remembering that correctly. But yeah, Hooper, he was reliable. He's been a guy that's been, I feel like, pretty reliable all season. Has come up with some big's probably not the right word because he obviously, excuse me, doesn't get used as much as Hunter Henry does. But he seems like he's becoming another reliable option. That's good to see for Drake May as he continues to try to figure out which guys he can trust and which guys he wants to kind of lean on if he needs a big catch here and there.
Yeah, I mean, when one lurks in the shadows a little more, one needs to step up, I guess. In this scenario, when he did, timely tight end play, big time tight end play. So you'll take it. My number three stud is Jeremiah Farms Jr. Maybe his first time in the studs list for either of us. He had the best game of his career: 5 tackles, a sack, 3 tackles for loss, and a QB hit. Played 58% of snaps and looked really good. Looked like a game record. The defense as a whole, you'll see as a theme. If you didn't watch the game or if you did, and you're just recapping things with us, the defense was very good. Like we had hopes they could be. They've lost some playmakers, but there's still that belief that there's some sort of glimpse of this type of performance that could be had, and it was had. Jeremiah Farms Jr. very good, and yeah, made plays in the backfield and looked very productive and played very productive. So looked very productive, didn't really make sense, so I corrected it.
Well, I guess you can look productive if you're playing as well as he did. That makes
I
I think it
suppose.
makes I think it makes more sense than you give yourself credit for. I'm
Thanks,
sticking with
man.
you. He's my number two. As you said, was all over the field. I think a game record is a perfect way to sum him up. And I would have to assume you were right on saying that it's probably the first time he makes the duds or excuse me, the studs list for either one of us. He was excellent, right in the middle of the field, of course, kind of was the driving force on shutting down DeAndre Swift in that Bears run game, which is really the only thing that's been going for that offense of late. That was something we talked about last week, and me specifically was worried about. It's just the Bears just letting him run loose and run wild on the Patriots because we've seen, again, nothing against Tony Pollard, but lesser running backs do that over the last couple of weeks and the last month for this Patriots team. But Farms was great, shut down the Bears run, and obviously got after the quarterback with the stats you mentioned. So a good game from him and well-deserved first time on the studs list.
Undoubtedly. And the theme continues, as we said. Zelani Tavai, one of my favorite guys. He makes the way onto my studs list. The number 2 spot, 6 tackles, 2 assisted tackles for a combined sack for 7 yards. Tackle for loss, QB hit, a pass deflection, and dad strength. Congratulations.
One of many
Yeah,
apparently in this game with the
yeah.
dad strength.
Who was the other one?
Joey
I
Sly, I
forget.
think, had
Joey
a
Sly, I think
yeah.
maybe. Yeah,
Yep.
he named him. Oh, I forget. I know. I thought I had the name off the top of my head there, but you almost jogged my memory, but I guess not.
Mhm.
A guy that's been good for the past few years here, become a leader, become an impactful player, and like we said with those injuries too, that emphasis on becoming an impactful player and a leader, and a guy that fills up the stat sheet, becomes even more important when you don't have guys like Barmore and Bentley. Well, you traded Josh Uche, but who's the other guy that's out on defense that I'm forgetting? Am I
Good
not forgetting
question.
anybody?
No, I
I
think
don't
you hit
know.
everybody.
Not important. Maybe it is. I don't know. Who cares? It's not that big of a deal. I'm deciding. Jelani Tavai is great. So that's great. Yeah, he's a playmaker. He's a Matt Patricia gem that's still on this team. So
A rare Matt Patricia gem. That's it. Matt Patricia and gem. I feel like is not something you hear. Those two
no, the
terms.
first 2 times those words have been associated in the past few years.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more so when he was more well liked as a key cog in the Patriots
DC, yeah.
operation, if
Yeah,
a little longer, a little further back. But
for sure.
he's
Yeah, I
great.
mean he's been very good. I agree with you. I very easily could have had him on my studs list, but wanted to change it up a little bit. He's been great over the last again couple of weeks, last month and a half after a kind of sluggish start. He was a guy that maybe me more so probably than you because I tend to lean more on the worrisome side. You are the more optimistic of the two of us. But a guy that got off to a slow start and that sucked to see because he was one of if not their best defensive players last year at times. And you were kind of hoping that he would break out finally, and you're starting to see that really the second half of the year, which has been good. I'm sticking with the linebackers for my number one, Anthony Jennings. Very easily could say the same things that you just said about Tavad that you could say about that I'm going to probably say about Anthony Jennings. 4 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for losses. Played 93% of the Patriots' defensive snaps. A guy that is going to get obviously more snaps with Uche gone and some injuries. And a guy that has flashed in the past, has flashed in the preseason, and it's good to see him when he's getting these more snaps be a pretty impactful player in this game. Again, you can maybe make the case that the Patriots are beating up on an offensive line that I've heard a lot of people this week talk about maybe the worst in the league. Definitely worse than the Patriots in this game, and maybe just worse than the Patriots in general, and beat up on a quarterback that just looks absolutely lost right now in Caleb Williams. But we'll give credit where credit's due. You can only play the people that are in front of you, the teams that are in front of you. And Anthony Jennings was excellent in this game, one of his better games in a Patriots uniform.
yeah, he was, and the Patriots. This just goes into the theme. I like that you mentioned the offensive line because it was going to come up anyways. For the Bears was the Patriots were feasting on a Bears unit that was missing 4 contributors coming in. I don't know how much Omegadaji, I believe his last name is pronounced. The kid from BYU or Yale. I don't know how much he was playing, but I mean he's the 3rd round pick. I assume they'd like to have him in the mix. They're missing guys. They miss him. They're missing a few other guys. I think Braxton Jones and a couple others. I don't have all the names in front of me, but key contributors on that line. And then Tevin Jenkins gets hurt, who's their left guard. You're down 5 guys, and the Patriots just feasted on the Bears offensive line and shell shocked Caleb Williams. Anthony Jennings was excellent. He's had a few great games this year. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how he's played, but a few games that have stuck out: 2 sacks, 3 QB hits, 2 tackles for loss, 4 tackles, and almost played every defensive snap. What a performance! Maybe his best game, most likely his best game as a Patriot.
You'd have to think
Um,
so, yeah.
it was a good week for those for pest games.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Anthony Jennings, perhaps no one more so than him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there are guys you can maybe make the
And
case
that's
for, like
nothing
to
against Farms.
yeah, absolutely. No, I was just gonna say that you could make the studs you could really put anyway. It's all about personal
Mm-hmm.
preference. Like you could put Farms number one. Definitely could have had Tavai, Keon White, a guy that has
Can't
struggled
wait.
with some dumb penalties over the recent couple of games. He played great in this game. Very easily could have found himself on the studs list as well. And I think Dietrich Wise had a pretty good game too, if I'm
Yeah.
remembering correctly. He had I know factored in the
Gonzalez and
sack. Yeah,
the
Gonzalez
secondary
was
was
good.
honestly
Yep.
good. I think Jonathan Jones let up his only target, but I think Gonzalez was the main guy, but
Hmm.
he could have made his way on this list. This stat went viral around for a little while. After the game, Mike Reese said quantifying Christian Gonzalez 2024 season through 10 games, be an next gen stats minimum of 50 targets. Second in lowest completion percentage as nearest defender, 50.9%, behind only Derek Stingley, who's at 49.1%. Derek
Pretty
Stingley
good.
very good as well. And tied with Stingley for fewest allowed yards per target at 5.7. And then I think he was 0 for 2,
That
one
sounds
catch for
about right.
18 yards
Okay.
against DJ Moore. So I don't know why I thought 0 for 2, but yeah, that's another guy that easily could have made the win list. Like you said, White and Wise too. Just timely plays, tons and tons of sacks, and the best defensive showing of the year for the Patriots.
Absolutely. A confidence booster for sure. And it's something we're going to get into just kind of from a main takeaway in a minute, but we'll go to the dud side of things. And I have a controversial one that I kind of want to get your thoughts on his play from the game. Um, Again, controversial, so people might not like this, but it's better than being boring. I'm taking Drake May as my number 3 dud from the game. 15 for 25, 184 yards, a touchdown, an interception, a sack, a quarterback rating of 79.4, 4 rushes, and 24 yards as well. Now, when we do the duds thing, a lot of people, if you followed us, we usually tend to look at the guys that like stunk in the game or didn't show up or rightfully deserved to be on the dud side of the ball. Um, I'm putting Drake May on here because it wasn't a bad game from Drake May, but it wasn't one of the better showings we've seen from him so far. Um, there was still, I coined this in the outline, the Mac level interception that he threw, which was horrendous. And we'll get into Mac Jones and his day on Sunday a little later when we do
How
the
fucking
recap,
dare
because
you, man? How fucking dare you even mention them in the same sentence?
you can't
How
tell me
fucking.
that wasn't a dumb decision. That
But
was
don't
that was
say
his
it.
worst
Don't
throw.
say it. Do
Fair,
not say it.
but I think there were people that might agree with me though, because that was his worst throw in the NFL in his career so far. And again, like I'm not dumping
I
on
don't know.
Drake May. He's been good.
Remember the throw
That
to
was
Andre Cisco that somehow didn't get picked? I'd say that was
yeah, that's true.
worse.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, this one was kind of like just a what again? Like, what are you doing with this? What is the decision making process there? And then he had another one too. He's gotten away with a couple, like you just mentioned, the Cisco one a couple weeks ago. There was another one later in this game in the end zone. I think that should have been picked off as well. So he could have very easily had 2 interceptions in this ball game. And then this, you probably feel the same way. I know a lot of Patriots fans probably feel it as well. But I have him on the duds list too because the guy needs to learn how to slide. Like every time he takes off
He knows.
and
He
and
knows. He
dives like a
knows.
torpedo head first into people, like you hold your breath a little bit, especially coming off a concussion a couple weeks ago. Again, I'll give him credit, all the credit in the world for knowing when to take off and when to run and use his legs because they are a huge weapon. Um, but man, he's got to learn how to slide because I'm getting really nervous seeing him again just dive headfirst into people and
Body
he
face
pops up. So
contact,
credit
bro.
there, but it's getting a little scary, and I'd like him to kind of go the other way and just fall down like Jalen Hurts. He won't dive at people. He just kind of falls down. Lamar Jackson does the same thing. When pressure starts to get to him, he'll just kind of crumble. Um, Start doing that if you don't want to like go
He
on with the
does
full leg
though.
slide.
He's had a couple bad ones,
Yeah.
but he does
But,
do that.
mhm,
Drake May I'd never considered as a dud. It wasn't like a game where he lit the world on fire, but he did make some nice plays.
true.
He did manage the game well. He did make a couple nice throws outside of structure. You see those graphs. He's been really good in terms of quarterbacks in the league playing outside of structure. He uses his feet well. He's just smart. He looks more and more comfortable. The sliding thing, can be fixed. At
It's
least
a
he's not.
nitpicky thing
At
too.
least he's
Like I'm
not
not
Tua doing
exactly.
it,
Yeah.
going
Yep.
for a tackle and getting hit in the head. Really thought that could have been bad. Surprised it wasn't.
Mhm,
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's like there were things that weren't like it wasn't perfect for Drake May, but I just didn't
mhm.
consider him in the duds category. The pick was rough, but I think he rebounded well.
He did. Yep.
Um, he's just yeah, he's great. I'm not expecting him to light the world on fire, but he's to a point where you can expect these throws out of structure, these throws outside of the pocket.
Mhm.
Um, that one that he essentially like put curve on or whatever and kept it in range for KJ Osborne on the run to the right sidelines. Then Osborne stepped fucking out of bounds, so it didn't matter.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Josh Allen play from a couple years
The
ago
Josh
against the
Allen
Patriots.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the throw to Booty, who they were saying Booty, he said 2 weeks ago it's Booty, so you got to
Mhm.
learn the broadcast team. That throw was absolutely fucking fantastic, just perfectly placed. The Hooper throws we talked about as well. He just, yeah, I don't know. I get why you might put him in the duds category. I just didn't get there.
Mhm.
Um,
It was also a tough week
but
to find duds, so
yeah, there's
a
also
rare
just
tough week for the Patriots. So
yeah, like we know there's another level too. It wasn't his best.
absolutely, yeah.
throughout, but overall, I think he did enough to help you win the game. Um, it helps when your defense has a ton going on their side of the ball, and he just played steady Eddie for the
He can
most
be a
part.
passenger. Yeah.
Made some nice plays, and didn't have to do too much, so he really did, and I'm fine with it. So
All right, fair enough. Like I said, I'm not expecting him to be on the duds list more so than this. Again, this was just a nitpicky, tough week to find duds from this game. I contemplated the guy you have at number three, but going back and watching some of the highlights, I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt because it seemed like they used this player more as a run blocker in this game, and obviously the run game figured it out a little bit. So your number three dud was the other of the two tight ends. We mentioned Austin Hooper. You, sorry to spoil it, had Hunter Henry.
yeah, and I this is like in a much different sense a guy like a little nitpicky too, for my number three. But I had Hunter Henry just because the fact like, even if he was more of a run blocker, did play 89% of snaps and only had one catch on four targets, almost at 14 because he had 14 yards.
Bad.
That would be
Yeah.
pretty bad.
Yep.
But yeah, it's like more of just a nitpicky one. Thankfully, there weren't a lot of duds to pick from. The defense was great. The receivers, Jalen Polk one catch for a touchdown. The receivers didn't light the world on fire, but I didn't feel like putting any of them in duds.
Mm-hmm.
And then the offensive line honestly was fine overall. And Drake May was very complimentary of them. Took them out to dinner. Oh, they went to dinner last night. I don't know if he paid, but that'd be funny to make him pay. Maybe
Might
like
be
a
tough
rookie
on a
thing,
rookie
but
contract. Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, this is a little nitpicky, but I had Hunter Henry, 57 snaps. You have one catch and four targets. It's not a bad thing,
Could
but
be better.
it was
Yeah.
just to fill in my number three dud. Not really that poor of a reflection on Henry, to be honest.
I
But
gotcha. Fair enough.
could just be partially due to clamps being put on him as well. I don't really know. I wasn't paying too close of attention to who was covering him, but could have just been a product of good coverage too. So
True.
yeah, definitely a little nitpicky, but it is what it is.
All right, we'll move on then to a couple guys that definitely deserve to be on here. Maybe the second
And
guy not so much.
consensus 2 and
Uh
1.
yeah, the
Consensus
second
2 and 1.
second guy kind of takes the role of former Devon Godchaux because Godchaux's had a good year, but he was the guy that would find your duds list quite a bit for having a lot of snaps played, but nothing really going on. Daniel Quale is our number two. 68% of the snaps played. He played 41 of them and had just one tackle. Was not that great in the run department, and maybe the Patriots were kind of switching him in and out with Farms, who was good, or I don't know if they were going with two guys in there at the DT spot. But equality not too good of a game from him, and again, kind of takes the role of was out there quite a bit, but didn't really do a whole lot. I feel like you kind of share the same thought process having him as your number two dud as well.
Yeah, it's just also interesting to see him play a good amount of snaps on a big day for the defense, especially the front seven, and not do anything with it. So that kind of stands out and puts you there. It's really that simple for me. He's had moments this season, but not a guy we know for like amazing consistency and filling up the stat sheet. But like, it's fine. It's not like a crazy poor reflection on the player. It's just like you can expect a little better. He's a guy that does make plays sometimes, just didn't in this game. So
Yeah, absolutely. Another
that's
guy
okay.
you can.
At the same time, on the flip side, when you have 19 sacks and all these plays on defense from the rest of the guys, so
Yeah, I think he'll take it. I think that kind of his poor performance might get overshadowed by plenty of other guys stepping up. One guy whose poor performance though will not get overshadowed by anything. KJ Osborne once again the consensus number one dud. 0 receptions, did have one target. You mentioned it. It was that play. You talked about a couple weeks ago Hunter Henry having the brains to know that he was out of bounds and step out, take himself out of the play, and allow Drake May to realize that himself, like we talked about when it happened, of him scrambling around and realize, okay, Hunter's not an available target because he went out of the back of the end zone and now can't come in. KJ Osborne was on the flip side of that, was stupid enough to go out of bounds and then realize, oh, I'm going to go try to catch a touchdown for my rookie quarterback. And that time Drake May did not know the situation. Not that he didn't know the situation, but obviously a product of the situation. Like you talked about, he's rolling to the outside. Looked like he was maybe trying to throw it away, but then again, we get the same, like I said earlier, the same kind of Josh Allen touchdown pass. Stupid decision by Osborne. You should know better. You're a veteran. Played more snaps than Demario Douglas and Jalen Polk. Douglas played 27. Polk played 26. Osborne played 29. And did pretty much nothing or literally nothing with those snaps. And then it was an interesting week leading up to the game or just the game in general. Because Kendrick Bourne dressed but was benched in this game. And when Gerard Mayo was asked about it, he said his reasoning was he wanted to get more of the young guys involved. So to that, I ask, why is KJ Osborne out there then? He's not a young guy. He's done nothing to really earn being out there. if unless you want to count the overseas game, him, again, like his agent said, stepping up in the situation. But KJ Osborne, we've talked about him numerous times. A guy that I am just tired of seeing out on the field because he doesn't really provide anything for you. I feel like you kind of feel the same way with him as your number one dud as well.
Yes. Like the whole Bourne thing was really strange.
Any
If
like
it was
I
to
don't
Osborne,
know
like
how to
I don't
take
get
that.
it.
Like
I don't either.
he hasn't been
But yeah,
playing
he
great
just
either,
like
so
he's
like
the
I
number
don't.
one dud. It just
Yeah,
is
for
what it
sure.
is.
The
Does
Bourne
not
thing
get
is so
better.
weird though. Like, okay, even if you want to do it, like Taekwon Thornton, I think was a healthy scare. I don't know if he was benched too, but or he was just It's we know Taekwon Thornton stinks, but if you want to get young guys in there, like
Get
Taekwon
Javon
Thornton,
Baker in there.
yeah, that too, yeah. Like you could very
I
easily
don't
go
know
with
if he
that
can
as
run
well.
routes though yet. That's the thing. He did run
That's
that route
true.
in I think in the Tennessee game where he got wide open, but Drake was pressured and on the run,
Yeah, I
so
couldn't get it to him. Yeah.
didn't quite see him. He was looking more intermediate range than long range
Hmm.
for a bomb to Javon Baker. Um, I would love to see them just connect for a bomb because remember in the preseason when they almost had that bomb that Baker stepped out of bounds
Yeah,
for
it came down out of
and
bounds. Yep.
maybe dropped. I don't know if he caught it and it just didn't count. I forget now,
I
but
think he came down out of
um,
bounds, didn't he? Was that Polk?
yeah,
There
like
was
no,
one
he
on the
like stepped out of
sideline where he,
bounds.
yeah,
He like stepped out of bounds on the route, so that obviously nullifies the catch. But yeah, I don't know. Like, just give me Javon Baker at this point. I don't even care if he can't run routes. He's
hmm
talented. Like, I don't know, see what he can do. And yeah, fuck. I mean, I just don't want to see KJ Osborne anymore. I almost just
I
call him
don't.
JJ Osborne.
uh, Either way,
Um,
like.
yeah. What else do we want to talk about, Ryan?
Well, it's a question we tend to ask when the Patriots get a win against a pretty bad team. It's the whole, did this game tell you more about the Patriots or more about the Bears? I think it goes either way. We talked about it a little bit earlier. For the people that want to maybe discredit this performance, you can only play the teams that are in front of you. So, did you have any big? I don't know if I had a big takeaway from this game. It was kind of just, like you talked about earlier, the standout performances across the board. The offense had its moments. Drake May. We talked about this briefly. The protection was some of the best it's been all season. The offensive line stats from Mark Daniels, of course, on Twitter. Vidarian Lowe had a hit. Jacobs had a hit allowed. Drake May, 2 hits. Mark Daniels had him here saying he moved up in the pocket and kind of ran into a hit and then held onto the ball too long for another one. And then the only sack he credited to was a covered sack and 2 hits as well. So the Patriots' offensive line was a lot better. Wide receivers could help by getting open a little bit quicker. As we know, that's been the problem that has plagued the Patriots for quite some time. I mentioned the run game has looked a little better. Stevenson got going in this game. Antonio Gibson had his moments in a short sample size. As you said, the wide receiver still a work in progress. But I thought the Polk touchdown was really well designed and well developed to kind of get him on a like a fake blocking assignment and then peel off to have a wide open
Yeah.
touchdown catch.
Stevenson was lost. I mean, he's having a tough few
Yeah,
weeks.
you texted me that when it happened.
The
That
other
guy is having
Stevenson.
a rough stretch. So
Yeah.
yeah, kind of any big
Associated with the
takeaways
Caleb
from.
Williams trade, by the way. They got him with that fifth round pick, so that's funny now
Oof,
too.
that doesn't yeah, it doesn't
Um,
help them. But yeah,
yeah,
your
it
thoughts on
shows
this
like
game? Anything stand out to you or?
like it's fair to say both. Like the Patriots won this game and the Bills lost it. I give Mayo some credit for I think this is one of his better coaching performances of the season, maybe his best.
Absolutely. Yep.
But at the same time, you kind of balance that out with the fact that the Bears defense wasn't super productive.
Hmm.
And their offensive line was trash. So that, makes it easier to win a game, makes it easier to
Yep.
scheme things up. And you still have to make the decisions as the coach. So you got to give Gerard credit. But yeah, and you also got to give the Patriots a line credit. It's a hodgepodge unit. It might see Cole Strange. We have an indirect Cole Strange update we'll get to later, but like
Hmm.
Caden Wallace, we heard about him last week too, so maybe we'll see some pieces come back. But from what they've had to work with, which is the
Not a
organization's
ton.
doing, they
Yeah.
like to pluck guys off the waiver wire and stuff, but um, they may do against a defensive front that easily could have torn them up. So got to give them
Hmm.
credit. Goes a little bit of both ways, but if I had to pick one, I think the Bears lost this game more.
Really?
Their
Okay.
offensive line was bad. Caleb Williams, that just leads to Caleb Williams getting shell shocked. He's had a rough past few weeks.
What are your thoughts
Um,
on him, really quick? Because there's been some talk. Obviously, Eberflus came out the other day and said he's still the quarterback. There's some other people that think it might be beneficial to sit him down the rest of the way and just kind of take things in. You saw it. I'm not in a similar circumstance, but Bryce Young has looked a little better since sitting down and coming back in. You're
Yeah,
going to see
maybe
if
you
that
like
works for
get ahead
Anthony
of it in a
Richardson
way.
this week.
See
Yeah.
it work for like a full season.
Any thoughts on the Williams situation,
Yeah.
or just Eberflus? We know is an idiot. Like that's not changing. It seems like anytime soon, or at least this season, it would appear. So, any thoughts on that situation as a whole?
Yeah, it's tough with the injury situation. Like if they were healthier on the line, I'd say just keep Caleb in and keep going. But it's also a tough spot. Like, do you want to sit Caleb ahead of a divisional matchup like Packers Bears? Do you want to do that to him? Like, could that fuck with his confidence? Because like he looks a guy that's fed up and
He
looks
looks
like a guy
lost.
that's
Yeah.
broken confidence wise.
Yep.
Like there's that video of a coach like talking to him and like laughing and Caleb just like scoffs. Like
Yeah. Yep.
he needs that mental reset. Um, I'm glad you mentioned the Anthony Richardson thing too, because like much different thing. Obviously a year more in the league too than Caleb, but and then you have the Bryce Young. All these situations have slight differences, but maybe you get ahead of that. You saw this happen with Anthony Richardson second year, Bryce Young second year. Do you get ahead of that? See a quarterback that's clearly rattled and be like, hey, like let's give him a breather, and then fucking go for it after like 1 or 2 weeks, maybe just
Hmm.
1 week. Like, do you let Tyson Bagent just get beat up by
The
opposing pass
Packers.
rushers for a little
Yeah.
bit? I don't know, but it's tough because like we saw the glimpse in the Panthers game. Sure, it's the Panthers, but like, okay, there's Caleb. And then for pretty much ever since then, there's just been it's not been always like this with the offensive
Hmm.
line getting torn up. Like he's had some bumps and bruises taken along the way, but like he just looks like a guy that is fucked in the head mentally right now just because his offensive line just let him get sacked 19 fucking times.
Yeah.
Um, I got to be honest, I'd probably just keep him in though.
I think it's the situation. I think is just broken no matter what. Like if you change quarterbacks,
Yeah,
nothing's gonna. You have seen it now these past couple of weeks. Definitely started 2 weeks ago with DJ Moore quitting. You can maybe say quitting on Caleb Williams, quitting on the Bears, but I mean I think, and you saw it in this game too. Not from Moore, but just in general, I think the aura around the team being the Bears. They're just so fed up with Eberflus. Like they're toning him out. It's clear as day. I think that they have given up on this team, or just given up on the coach rather. So I don't know if a
yeah,
quarterback change is going to spark anything like you've seen in the past for other teams.
yeah,
I think like they fired their offensive coordinator. Like I don't know how much that's going to change.
yeah. That's the thing too with the offensive coordinator. Like I don't see much merit in having someone else step in and then starting your backup.
Yeah, it's
Like let the new
not a
guy
great
get started
situation.
with the number one overall pick. Um, and also it's Tyson Bagent. Like he's a former Division 3 quarterback, Division 2
Yeah, it's not
quarterback.
gonna. You're not gonna get
Like it's not
much
like you have
better.
a Joe Flacco or a Jameis Winston to back him
True.
up. I don't know. I think you just let Caleb ride with the bumps and bruises unless it gets really bad.
Hmm.
Um, or if you go 1 or 2 weeks under the new offensive coordinator Thomas Brown, and you're like, this sucks. Like, let's go to Bajan for at least a game. You do that, but then you also look at it like the NFC North is very competitive. Like, are the Bears even going to be able to compete?
No,
Like,
I was gonna say it's slipping
do you
away
want to
quick.
just give him that reset and kind of like not accept the fact that you're not going to make the playoffs, but like sort of accept it? Like, not like outright be like, all right, yeah, we're benching Caleb for the season, but like, okay, our rookie quarterback has struggled. Maybe this could help him. It's not like a long term thing.
Hmm.
So it's
I
a little complicated, but maybe it's not with the new offensive coordinator. Maybe you just want
true.
to keep the guy in and see if things change. But of course, the offensive coordinator can't just miraculously heal the offensive line. So
Yeah, exactly. That's a situation that I think is just too far broken at this point. Maybe again, if they keep losing, you turn to the backup the last couple weeks of the season, just kind of say, all right, we'll give Caleb an early start to figure himself out next year and kind of reset. Because again, I just don't think there's anything saving that team right now, and I don't
there's
think
also
there
like
is any spark
Caleb's got
coming.
a bit of an ego.
Oh, absolutely. That
So
doesn't help. Yep.
does benching him piss him off and just like ruin him? I don't know, like ruin him for a little bit,
I don't
or
know. He's got to have a brain
does
to
it
notice the situation.
light
Like,
his ass on fire and fix things a little bit? I don't know. That might
who knows?
motivate him.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
tough.
It's definitely an interesting situation.
But
To answer the
Bears
question,
fans hate everything about the Bears right now. So
I don't see how they can't.
yeah,
There isn't really one thing to look like because again, going into the season, there was the hope of okay, you have the guy, in Williams, and the high hopes for the quarterback position, but like that is now faded, at least for this season. Like again, I think a lot of these players have given up on this team. Like,
I
do
don't
you
get the
hang your
people giving up on Caleb though. I saw a lot of giving up on Caleb
right? I mean, people are
on
going to do that no
Twitter.
matter what the situation
I
is.
know, but
Like,
like, come on,
yeah.
guys.
But I mean, we talked about it. You and I talked about it the night of the Jets game, the first time we saw Drake May, and he was running for his life. And we talked about it like how long before the idiots see that
Yeah,
Drake May stinks, even though it's the offensive line and he has no weapons at the time. It's going to happen
still doesn't.
regardless. Yeah,
Kind of does, but kind of doesn't. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's a tough situation in Chicago. So
for sure.
where would we like to go next?
We can. There's really nothing else again to come from this game. The question I asked you about who do you put it on more, the Bears losing or the Patriots winning? I kind of want to lean towards, just to wrap up my thoughts on that question. Like I want to lean towards the Patriots a little bit, and for the reasons you said, like I think it was one of, if not the best coached games from Gerard Mayo so far. Like people could argue that okay, the Bengals game they looked better in, but we know the Bengals suck week one, and week one anything can happen in the NFL. No one really has any. Obviously, teams have expectations, but you know what I mean. Nothing's set in stone yet. You get upsets week one all the time. Like this is the first game I feel like in a long time they looked like they were ready to go coming out of this game. They had good things schemed up, like we talked about the Polk touchdown. Credit that to a win for Alex Van Pelt. That was a good call. The decision on defense that we really didn't talk about to bring Schooler out there. I know a lot of people are losing their minds over the Schooler play, which like it's one of
Yeah,
those cool things that happens. But that was a smart play to have him in there as a spy. Gives you a little bit of a different look. And then the other thing people talked about too was the end of that first half. The Patriots able to go pretty much the length of the field in a short amount of time, able to get down, clock the ball, get a bear offside, which gave them
yeah,
extra 5 yards. Like that's something, if I were to tell you they're going to be able to pull that off a couple weeks ago, you probably would have looked at me and
no,
be like, yeah, right. With how this team is coached and how this offense looked, no chance. So, like, I think you're seeing some baby steps with the program and how the coaching is starting to maybe evolve a little
Mhm.
bit and starting to figure some things out more. So, I think you can hang your hat on that if you're a Patriots fan. And again, like, not get excited because this isn't going to be a win that springboards the Patriots to like 6 or 7 straight wins at this point. Let's be realistic here. But I think it's one of those ones where you can look at and be like, all right, like the coaching staff's not completely stupid. They can still beat up on the teams that are worse than them. Like if they would have come out of this game with a loss against the Bears, I think you would have felt really, really gross. Because again, you would have looked at it and been
yeah,
like, the Bears are a mess. Like you should have beat. It's the same way you feel about the Jaguars a couple weeks ago. Um, but this one, I think you're coming out of it, obviously with the victory and the moral victory on top of it. Of all right, the coaching staff looks half decent for a week. You had again, Drake May didn't have to be great. When you were still able to pick out a win, and you got some guys heading in the right direction. Mainly the defense figured some things out. So I think for at least a week, you're in pretty good shape right now with some things to build off of.
one sec.
It's okay.
Quick text message. Yeah, I mean, the thing that I wanted to mention too that came up um while you were talking about that is like the thing that lends credence to the Patriots winning the game too is like it'd be a little easier to say the Bears lost the game if like they fucked up late and the Patriots took
Yeah,
advantage. Like the
exactly.
Patriots did win by 16 points. Um, so yeah, there's that. But yeah, I think there's a way to stand on both sides, and it
Definitely. You
was
could
it
definitely
was
argue for both.
cool.
Yep.
Like you got to give the coaching bonus too to the whole Schooler thing and Del Pettis being involved. Like he's made plays here and there, but this was another guy who had his best game as a Patriot.
Hmm.
Um, in a game where your safety position is a strength when you have Kyle Duggar, but you have guys like Pettis, no Jabril Peppers, no Duggar. Sometimes you need a guy like Pettis to step up, and Marte Mapu, came back and made a couple nice plays his first week back. So next man up,
For sure.
next man up. Shall we segue into the Rams game?
We shall. A Rams team that comes in not looking too great right now, with a pretty lackluster performance against those Dolphins on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I didn't catch a ton of this game, so I won't elaborate on that game too much.
Okay, it
But
was ugly. I'll
um,
just leave it at that. It was not a fun football game to watch.
yeah, so I have been told, um, by you and by people on Twitter that were talking about it and stuff.
Hmm.
Rams are -5 point favorites. They opened at 5.5, and the over/under is now 44.5. One's 43.5. This Rams team scares me a little bit after a loss with their
Okay.
fully healthy brigade of offensive weapons. Matthew Stafford, it's not lighting up the stat sheet this year, but like still making those Matthew Stafford plays. Has had a couple nice games here and there. But you know, he had like the one, I think, 4 touchdown game, but like I think Matthew Stafford still has one like explosion game in him. I don't think it'll happen against the Patriots, but like
You hope not.
we know how good he can still be even at his advancing age. I think he's 36 now. He got Puka Nacua back with like 14 targets last week. Cooper Kupp is back. DeMarcus Robinson is, served nicely when needed. And Tutu Atwell even too. It looked like a guy that might have been, if he didn't salvage something this year, might have been on his way to practice squads or something, but has turned himself into a nice player, a little undersized receiver. And Kyron Williams, I mean, he's a beast, one of the best running backs in the league. Pains me to say about a member of the Notre Dame Fighting Irish one day. Yeah, their offense is good. They can be better than what we saw against the Dolphins, just looking at the stats and seeing the final score. But yeah, I mean, this is a team that has some work to do still. They, dealt with injuries that kind of fucked their early season chances of gaining a foothold in the NFC West. But they're 4-5 and with a chance against a lower tier Patriots team that they can beat. So we'll see if they do. But this is a winnable game for the Patriots. Like, it's not. If we're talking a fully healthy Rams team all season, I'm probably like, yeah, this is a guaranteed Patriots loss. But like, the Rams showed that they're vulnerable. Like, sure, the Patriots and the Dolphins are different teams, but the Dolphins found a way to win. I don't see why the Patriots can't. On defense, you got Quentin Lake, Christian Roseboom, Cameron Curl's been a nice fit for them. Jared Versus 4.5 sacks as a rookie. Really liked him in college. Braden Fisk has made some plays as well. Kind of their like next wave of young, talented players. You lose Aaron Donald, you need to address that in the draft. They did. Those guys have been decently productive so far. Byron Young, Kobe Turner make plays as well on that defense for them. Not the greatest defense, but they got some the greatest defense you'll find in the league. But they got some playmakers, and they should be accounted for. But hey, if the Patriots defense can deal with the Bears, I think they can deal with the Rams defense. That of course, as we all know, no longer has Aaron Donald, which is nice and still feels weird to say. But yeah, it's a formidable test, but not a completely off the table win.
Yeah, I mean, my big thing going into this game is kind of what we just talked about is coming off that Bears game is can you build off the coaching performance? Because again, you look at this on paper and you're like, oh, this is a game that Gerard Mayer gets coached circles around. Like Sean McVay is a top 5, top 3 coach in the NFL right now, the way he's gone and just how his programs are sprinkled all throughout the NFL. But again, you saw glimpses last week, and again, albeit a less superior team in the Bears. That's the big thing for me is like don't take a step back this week. Like, yeah, it's gonna be a game that you like I'm not penciling them in as a win. I think the Rams have this just off of talent alone. Again, with how they're getting healthier, and like you said, Kyron Williams has been one of the best dual threat running backs in the NFL this year. It'll obviously be a huge test for Christian Gonzalez if he goes up against Kupp or if he goes up against Nacua. I have to assume he'll probably get a little bit of both, but probably more. If I had to guess, I would have to think more Nacua, just because I think he's more their downfield threat at this point. But that's the thing for me. Like I said, to circle back to it is can you stay in this game in the coaching sense, not get coach circles around, and try to build off of the performance you had last week against the Bears? Because I think not that there wasn't any buy-in, but you've seen in the past wins like last week kind of help propel a team's program or help maybe build a little bit of credibility in the locker room with the coaching staff. So continue to do that. Make this a competitive game because I'm with you. It should be a competitive game. I don't think the Rams are going to blow the Patriots out by any means. But again, I just think in the end, McVay, that talent on that roster, they're probably going to edge out here unless either Drake May does something spectacular or maybe you catch a break here. Because like you said, Matt Stafford really hasn't had a huge game yet outside of the one, like you said, 4 touchdown game. He's been like average isn't the right word, but I mean he was pretty average in that Dolphins game. Watching the majority of it, like really didn't do anything that stood out in that one. So it's a quarterback you maybe should be able to take, or not should be, but can take advantage of. In a little bit of a downer these last couple of games for him, but it'll be interesting to see again. Like I'm gonna watch the coaching and see if you get more of what you got in that Bears game, or maybe there's a step back and like Mayo was a little hesitant trying to coach against a guy like McVay.
Hey, 9 sacks is great, but it's not 10. Let's get double
There you go.
digits
Yeah,
against the Rams
that's
this weekend. Not
something to keep an eye
necessarily
on.
spectacular offensive line either. I don't know what their health is looking like in comparison to the Bears. We can look at that right now with the injury report. Let's see if there are
We can.
any offensive linemen. Yes, there is. Rob Havenstein and Joe Noteboom are on the DNP list for the
Okay.
Rams that already don't have a super strong offensive line to begin with. Something to monitor. Something to monitor. Maybe the Patriots defense can feast a little bit again.
Turn
I
some
don't
guys
know. We'll
loose then. All
see.
right.
We'll see. I don't know. Haven't seen. Has been around for a while. Don't know how long Noteboom's been around for. For the Patriots, though, DNPs were personal reasons for Isaiah Bolden, concussion for Marcel Style Jr., a neck injury for Jacqueline Roy, Sion Taki with a knee injury, and Dietrich Wise with the foot. Unfortunate for Dietrich Wise after making his play last game. Hopefully he
Yeah,
can
that
play.
stinks to see.
Yeah, limited. Kyle Duggar with an ankle. Aquale and Ellis both with the abdomen. Foot for Hunter Henry, Vidarian Lowe with the shoulder, and Martin Mapu with the neck. And Alex Austin was a full participant. We heard a little bit about his injury status last week. Maybe he makes his way into the fold. Interested to see how things go with the corners outside of Gonzalez because I like Marcus Jones. Jonathan Jones has had a tougher year. Either one of them against Cooper Kupp frightens me. It
I
does.
just think as it should. I think it frightens a lot
Frightens
of
me.
people. Yeah.
A much less stacked off injury report on the other side. Just haven't seen Gallimore, Noteboom, and Woods for the Rams. Byron Young was limited. Those are the DNPs, those four guys, sorry. And full participant, Cam Curl. Big piece of their secondary these days. And of course, this is a Rams team without Tre'Davious White. They traded him, so we won't be seeing him in this game as he is now a Raven. Might make his debut this week. He did not play in this Thursday game because that would have been a pretty short week to get prepared.
Yes, it would have.
His deadline was on Tuesday. Yeah, I'm excited. Like this is a winnable game. It'd be, they say what you want about them, 4-5 record, tough start due to injuries, but like a win against the Rams still means a lot. Because this is a
Absolutely.
team that is capable of a lot. Like we said, Matt Stafford hasn't lit the world on fire this year, but like when he's at the top of his game, and he can be at the top of his game, I can count on that for any game, any day of the week. Still from Matt Stafford, he can be an excellent quarterback still, even at 36 years old. So, still a little frightening, but hopefully, the Patriots defense can neutralize, build on what they started last week. Because right now, I got a bit of confidence they can, to be honest with you. And I hope that ends up coming true. But I think they're going to make plays, but I think there's going to be some points in this game. I have the Rams winning 26-20.
Okay.
I don't feel good about like betting on the over under in this, but that's just where my mind went to for a final score. I won't bet the over because it just feels a little weird, but that's where my mind went with the score. I think the quarterbacks are going to go back and forth a little bit. Hopefully, this is a Rams defense that doesn't have like these shutdown guys in the secondary, anything super crazy. So hopefully, the tight ends can get open as they've done, and maybe we see some more from the receivers. That would be nice. And Ramondre, I'm counting on Ramondre to get in the end zone once or twice in this game. So maybe Antonio Gibson can get in the end zone too. We saw later in the game him become more of a factor, had a couple nice timely runs for some decent yardage. So maybe they get him more involved. I don't know what they'll do. I just don't want to see KJ Osborne. I want to see
Yes,
Kendrick
yeah.
Bourne. I want to
Consensus
see
there.
like Jalen Polk had one catch for 2 yards in the touchdown. That's enough. Like that's a very minimal confidence booster, but like keep rewarding that.
Yeah,
Try and let
exactly.
him earn trust back. I want to
Hmm.
see Jalen Polk involved. I think you can have a productive day from the tight ends, and I think Drake is going to be fine overall. Hopefully, knock on wood, because we know the line's unpredictable, and we know he is a rookie. He can make mistakes. He has made mistakes. But overall, I think we'll absolutely take what we've gotten from Mr. Drake May.
For
I'm going
sure.
26-20 for the Rams. Unfortunately, part of me wanted to pick the Patriots to win. I might end up betting on them to win at some point, but right now I'm picking the Rams.
Well, I was gonna say we shouldn't ever pick the Patriots to win because I feel like every time we've done it this year, they have lost, and then every time, or not every time, but the last couple of times we've picked them to lose, they've pulled out some wins that maybe we don't expect. So I'm gonna stick with the history here and hope I'm wrong again. I'm gonna take the Rams in what has become a pretty common theme score. For the two of us, you went outside the box a little bit this week, but I'm sticking with 20 tonight at 20-17. Excuse me. 2019 would be a weird football score, but I'm sure it's happened before. But yeah, 2017. I think again, Rams just the talent wise. And then the McVay factor for me is I think you're going to see a competitive game here. Drake May is
Mm.
going to do some Drake May things, but in the end, the Rams will just find a way to pull this one out in the end. Maybe like a last second field goal. But again, I think if you can keep a game this close, I think you maybe have some building blocks to build off of. And Gerard Mayo, I'm not gonna say, coaches up to par with Sean McVay, but maybe he surprised you here in this game. You pull some stuff out that you don't expect out of him. And I'm with
Yeah,
you too. I'd like to see less of KJ Osborne and more of Kendrick
yeah,
Bourne. Because the other thing I was going to say about that situation too is if you continue to bench him to go with the young guys, the question that I have and I heard a lot of people ask this week too is, then why didn't you just trade him at the trade deadline? Like
yeah.
it
Like
makes no sense to keep Bourne on this
somebody
roster
would
if
have
you're
taken Kendrick Bourne for sure.
absolutely. We joked about it like, oh, all the calls about the people are looking at Osborne and Thornton, but nobody ends up trading for him. Like you could have found a suitor for Kendrick Bourne. I feel like that no matter what it would have been, like you could have found something of value for him. So get him back out there, sit Osborne down because he's giving you nothing, as we know.
Yeah, you gotta have some sort of sure thing outside of younger players in that receiver group. And it's not KJ Osborne. Like Kayshawn Booty's your most sure thing at receiver, and he's a second year player
Yeah,
who dropped to the sixth round, had
mhm.
gambling issues, and lost the trust early on with a couple um, mishaps in that Eagles game. So
Yep.
last year, but that's just where we're at. That's who they have to work with, folks. Let's hope we're wrong and they upset the Rams. Bengals and Ravens. One of the games of the year ends on a bit of a downer. A downer.
Mhm.
I do not like going for the 2 point conversion to try and win the game because it is not worth this. It's not worth this. Something I meant to mention too. The fact that the Rams lost to the Dolphins has me a little frightened that they want to take their anger out of the Patriots.
Could see that, yeah. Because again, it was not a good performance from them. They were very sluggish that entire game.
Yeah, they were. From what I heard, I really didn't catch much.
Mhm.
Especially like I get it, the Ravens scored a bunch of unanswered points. You kind of want to try and go for the kill shot. Um, you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase hot, but you could use those arguments in overtime. Like
Definitely can, yeah. They couldn't stop
have the
Jamar
confidence,
Chase.
have the confidence in your team. The Ravens do not have a good secondary. They
No, they've
haven't for a few
been
years.
trashed
Like
this year, yeah.
they drafted a second round corner. They traded for Trey White, who hasn't played yet. Trey White is not going to fix their secondary and make it
Nope.
like elite.
No, he's
He's
not.
just a body that they hope will help them, and they got for cheap. I like part of it too, like not the prevailing thought, believe me here, but I just wanted to see overtime too. I hate it though. It's not worth
Greedy
the risk.
bastard.
It's not worth the risk. It's the opposite side of the Patriots Titans thing where like, oh, you're the Patriots, maybe you shouldn't do that, maybe you play it safe.
Yeah,
Then
I
you
was
also have
just
the option
gonna.
like, oh, we're a better team, even though the Bengals have their doozies and their mishaps and their
Mhm.
underachievements. But just go for the safe points. Trust your team. Sure, maybe you don't want to leave it up to a coin toss either, but like you can get the ball back in overtime. Like you can do that. That's the thing. Like a fucking absolutely preposterous historic performance. I think he's the only player with multiple touchdowns and 250 plus yards in multiple games in his career. Um, Jamar Chase goes absolutely stupid, accounts for 264 of Joe Burrow's 428 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 11 catches on 17 targets for Jamar Chase. Lamar was absolutely fantastic on the other side as well. It's just so good. Tylan Wallace had 115 yards. That's pretty remarkable in its own. No offense. Derrick Henry gets in the end zone. Zay Flowers took kind of a back seat in this one, but it was fine. Nelson Aguilar, Rashad Bateman, and Mark Andrews all get in the end zone. And Nnamdi Madubuike, 5 tackles, 3 sacks, 3 quarterback hits, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble in one of the best games of the year. A show-stopping game. A glimpse of the old NFL when you see more games like this
Points
with
on points
crazy
on
stat
points.
lines and
Yeah.
a receiver going absolutely stupid for 200 plus yards. Um, what a game! What a game!
See, I'm right there. I'm glad you brought up the certain situation is I think when it's only okay to go for two for the win. Like I'm right there with you. We talked about the Patriots last week. I think anytime we saw it a couple weeks ago or maybe last week if I remember correctly. Anytime you're playing the Chiefs and have a chance to knock them off, go for two, try to go for the win. As we'll get to, because going, kicking against them might not be the best situation. Uh, but I wonder if the Bengals situation factored into this because they're what? Like I'm trying to find their record here in the preview. Who are they playing this week? The Bengals. They're 4-6. So I mean, their season's on life support right now. I wonder if that kind of crept into the minds of the coaching staff and
But
was
then
like,
we've done a lot of this. Like you
exactly.
give yourself a chance
Yep,
to win in overtime in
exactly.
a crucial game in the division. Now you've lost. Have they already played the Ravens? I think that they already
Yeah,
have. So
they
this,
had another
yeah,
game like it was like
0-2.
41 to
Yeah,
38 or something ridiculous at the second or third week of the year. So you're 0-2 against the Ravens. I don't know if they played the Steelers
it's
yet.
just not worth the risk, and it's easy
No.
to say in retrospect. But like I've kind of established my stance here on this type of decision. So maybe it's
Yeah.
not. You
No,
can
you've
give me
been
the
firm on
benefit of the
this.
doubt, folks, with the lack of retrospect being the
Hmm.
prevailing anchor in my discussion here. So
No, I'm right there with you. I think I always hate it, especially if you have good kickers. Like we've seen the Ravens do this numerous times, go for two crap. Evan McPherson, pretty good kicker. Like go for the extra point, go for overtime, and again, pray your defense gets or have a good enough defense or coach your defense up good enough to get a stop if you don't get the ball first, and then all you need is a field goal. So like I'm right there with you. Like that was stupid at the end of the game, and part of me when it's a dumb decision like that kind of roots for the 2 point conversion to fail. Like I don't ever want to see the Ravens win. They're one of those teams I just can't stand when they win, no matter if you like the players on the roster or not. Uh, Bengals, as soon as they did that, I'm like, nah, I hope you lose. Like, it's a dumb decision in the spot.
yeah,
Go for overtime and try to get lucky there, get the ball first and score and end it. Obviously with a touchdown. But yeah, I'm right there with you. I think in that spot, you kick the extra point and try to win it in OT.
yeah. It's tough to see a game that could end the way it did, but it is what it is. And he threw it. Burrow throws it in double coverage to Tanner Hudson. Like, come on. Um, Panthers
Right?
and
Yeah.
Giants, an overtime game that just really wasn't that exciting. Like it was a running back show. Well, we got 256 combined yards, two touchdowns, and three fumbles combined between the running backs. Um, Daniel Jones still sucks. Grass is green. My mouse
Sky's
pad has a
blue.
Patriots
Yeah.
logo on it. Um,
It's still the same as it was the other day.
yeah,
Like
I mean, what did we really expect?
it's
I got
just
nothing.
The Giants find out just ways to out giant themselves every week. It seems
I also missed a chunk of this game too, so
I saw the ending because I was kind of flipping back and forth, or I can't remember what I was doing Sunday morning, but like obviously didn't want to watch Giants and Panthers into its full extent. But did see the Giants were driving late. The thing that makes you mad, and I'm sure it aggravates the crap out of Giants fans too, if you watch that final drive, Daniel Jones looked like a competent quarterback. Like they were moving the ball, were able to make plays. It's like, all right, why can't you do this on a normal circumstance? Then you get the ball in overtime, and you have the running back in Tracy, who's had a great game, fumble it away on his own, whatever it was, 30-yard line, 20-yard line. And right then and there, you're like, all right, you know the Giants are losing this game. And they kind of deserve to because I think somebody I saw on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, said like the Giants have had like 300 plus chances to win this game and still are gonna end up losing. So the Giants, they're cursed. They stink. Daniel Jones is just not the guy for that team. He is as criminal as it gets, robbing that franchise with the contract that he signed. And now they have to deal with because they are just dead in the water with him as their quarterback.
yeah, it's God, it's just expected, but it still kind of blows your mind a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Bills 30, Colts 20. I didn't catch like any of this game. It's a
I
tough
didn't,
it's a
to be
tough
honest,
game to
didn't catch a
start
lot of
here,
football in
but
general. I was out most of Sunday,
yeah,
so
Joe
it was
Flacco
a
threw three picks
yeah, and is now on the bench once again, as we said earlier, for Anthony Richardson.
is for Anthony Richardson. Um, I'm not gonna act like I have a big takeaway from this game because I saw very little of it, so that's about that.
That's my main takeaway is that I don't get how, I mean, I get it because the Flacco move just did not work out, but like to see Steichen, the head coach, say that 2 weeks ago, Flacco's our guy for the rest of the way, and then 2 weeks later, after he looks like a whatever he's 38, 39-year-old quarterback, to go, oh yeah, that probably wasn't the best move. We'll go back to Anthony Richardson. Like
Yeah,
I give him more of a benefit of the doubt than most coaches that are on the hot seat, but like that's a dumb move in my opinion to just at this point you're basically being like, I feel like playing this guy this week. Maybe I'll play the other quarterback next week. We'll just kind of play it by ear. So I'm curious to see how that goes. Like obviously you're rooting for Anthony Richardson because he did show some prolific ability when he first came into the league last year, but
yeah,
you got to wonder what he'll look like. If he's learned from this benching, maybe he'll know this at this point if he ever gets tired again to call a run play so he can give himself a little bit of a breather, or maybe just not scramble as much as he did. Maybe he'll actually become a pocket passer and throw the ball a little bit more than he had been before getting benched.
Yeah, I don't really have a ton of confidence in that, but maybe.
I don't either, but is maybe you're holding out hope. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
mm,
it's a little mental reset for him. Um, Vikings 12, Jaguars 7. You have a funny stat for this game.
yeah, I saw this on Twitter. This is from NFL on CBS on Twitter. The Vikings, yeah, the Vikings made history, becoming the first team to win a game with 0 touchdowns and 3+ turnovers since the 2006 season. Teams had lost 195 straight games when they had scored 0 touchdowns and had 3+ turnovers. Um, I know that Sam Darnold's had a good season, but could you have picked a more Sam Darnold versus Mac Jones type of game
Yeah,
than this one?
there were
Like,
people that honestly bet Sam Darnold to win MVP earlier this season.
that's
Um,
that's something I maybe would have put money on comeback player of the year, but definitely not MVP.
yeah.
That's rough.
The best takeaway from this game is that Mac Jones still fucking sucks. Um, which is awesome.
Mhm.
They now have rights to the number one pick. It's kind of
That is
like
not awesome.
this is becoming more of like a prevailing thing, and I get it. It's not the worst year to like not have a top five pick because there's not like a super elite can't miss prospect at the top. Travis Hunter is one of the best college football players ever, but you have the thing where like he's not going to play almost every snap of the game in the NFL. He's going to play primarily receiver or primarily corner. If I
Mhm.
had to guess, I'd say corner. Um,
Really? Okay.
but like that's a guy like you're gonna find time for him on offense. He's just
Yeah.
not gonna play as many snaps as he does at Colorado. Um, but like I don't know. There's belief too that like this happens with certain guys every year. Like oh like teams are gonna want to play Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks at guard because they don't have the arm length. So like those guys might fall a little bit, drop in your lap if you're a team like the Patriots at 7. And you can just very easily keep one of those guys at tackle. That's certainly a thing. Um, but yeah, like it's kind of weird. Like normally I'd in a better year I'd be kind of upset that the Patriots like won that game. Like of course it's 19-3 and it's a great game, but like yeah, it from the draft position standpoint it kind of stinks. But right now I'm kind of like it is what it is. Like we'll see what happens with the draft cycle and you know they'll still end up in the top 7. I think this is probably the lowest they get.
Yeah.
Of course that changes if they win against the Rams, but um yeah, this game sucks. Do you want to move on?
Yeah, I don't want to talk. I mean, we can joke about
Okay.
Mac Jones just continuing to suck. Like I think
Yeah.
I tweeted it out. Like I can't believe I ever defended Mac Jones with just how bad it is. Because if you watched, especially those last 2 interceptions, it was prime. Like what the hell are you doing throwing those balls? I only had 2 interceptions, but yeah, the last two he had, um, just prime Mac Jones. Like you just are an absolute idiot throwing those balls and how you did it. So more of the same for Mac Jones. Like you said, grass is green, sky's blue. Sun will come up tomorrow. Mac Jones will still suck.
Yeah, he sucks a lot, and it's so funny. Um, Chiefs 16, Broncos 14. Blocked field goal wins the Chiefs the game. It's something stupid every week.
Hmm They have
Oh,
they
goodness.
I have never pissed my dad off so much watching that game as I did because we were obviously watching it on Red Zone. We saw it come up that close game. He's like, Broncos are gonna do it. They're gonna beat the Chiefs. And as soon as you saw them go to kick that field goal, I'm like, I said it when I'm like, you watch what happens. And he, again, immediately shut your fucking mouth. That's not gonna happen. Sure, I thought the guy was just gonna shank it like far right, Will Lutz, but of course. And the motherfucker, I've never heard somebody scream that word so loud in my life. I'm like, I didn't want to be like, I told you so, but I've told you this before. This is why I will never bet against the Chiefs again because they have this level of just horseshoe up their ass, 4-leaf clover, whatever you want to call it. Um, and people that listen to us are probably like, "Oh, you're Patriots fans. You guys dealt with that for years." Yeah, it's the same thing as it was when the Patriots were doing it, and it's just aggravating now that it's the Chiefs. The other thing that pisses me off in this game too is I was again talking to my dad about it. Like I don't get how teams for years, you had a big number 87 that teams just would try to destroy the guy's legs in Rob Gronkowski and take him out of games, take him out of plays. I
Because it's
don't
the
get why
Chiefs. You can't
teams,
do that. You'll get penalties. You'll get suspended or
I
something.
guess, but like that's his argument too.
You
It's
get shot
funny.
out of a cannon and launched out of the stadium. Like
Yeah, it just blows my mind week after week how teams just forget Travis Kelce exists. Like it's the Broncos, it's the Raiders, like the dumb teams, of the NFL that just don't ever want to try to. they try to, but like just can't cover that guy for some reason. I can't imagine it's as hard. And again, after watching Gronk get his just ass handed to him week after week all those years, like I don't get how people just can't knock Travis Kelce down a couple times and make it more difficult than it is for him.
Billy soft now. Please soft now.
Fair.
That's how it is. Saints 20, Falcons 17. The Falcons lose a game they shouldn't. How
Said,
fitting.
yeah, right.
How fitting.
It's that coach's buzz, man. Darren Rizzi. Like,
Yeah, in case you didn't know, Marquez Valdez-Scantling is on the Saints, and he did stuff.
nope.
A lot of stuff. 66%, 67% of the points scored for the Saints. Quite good. Hey man, like credit to the Saints, I guess, but like Falcons, wasting big performances as
This
you
was a
have noted
Falcons
here on
loss. Like,
offense.
I think you said it a couple weeks ago. I can't remember who
Waste.
the pick was that we had, but you were like, the Falcons are due for a game where they should win, and they just come out and lose. I wonder if out of this game, if Marquez Valdez-Scantling pulls a Tyreek Hill and is like, Derek Carr is the best quarterback I've ever played with, like Tyreek Hill did when he went to first, obviously with Miami, and said that Tua was a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. Like, I wonder if MVS is now going to think that after this massive performance with Derek Carr, after really doing nothing with the Chiefs in all of those years. I think he was with Buffalo too, wasn't he, at one point?
Yeah,
So
he didn't
had
do
so had
anything.
Josh Allen as well. Kind of funny that the guy he's been most productive with so far was one game of Derek Carr.
Yeah, man. Weird game. Weird game.
Hmm.
Seeing
A lot of games you don't
Mahomes
really want to
killing.
talk about because they were kind of
Yeah,
gross this
like
week. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of like that, ain't it? This game had one of the more impressive things I've ever seen in a football game. 49ers 23, Bucks 20. That moving stiff arm on the run throw by Baker Mayfield was unbelievable.
I have never felt more.
Patrick Mahomes would get slurped for
Oh,
60 straight
absolutely.
hours
You'd
if
still be
that was
hearing about
him.
it if it was Patrick Mahomes. They'd still be playing on
Oh
like
my
NFL
God.
Network and ESPN. But yeah, I was gonna say
It'd be on
funny
the
that
news. Like,
yeah, some random
God.
just channel like six news reporters. So yeah, I get what you're getting at. It's funny though. I was gonna say I have never felt more bad for a quarterback than I did for Baker in this game. Then a couple years ago for the Buccaneers, that playoff game where Brady let him all the way down, and the Rams in like four plays forgot to cover Cooper Kupp and ended up getting. I think that was the year they went to the Super Bowl. In that whatever it was wild card weekend or whatever, the game I'm talking about. But yeah, to watch Baker do that and basically put the team on his back on that final drive and hold off Bosa like he did, to then just watch the 49ers walk right down the field and lose, was tough to see. Because again, that's a game you're rooting for Baker in that sense, and rooting for the Bucks to pull that one out, with as great as a play as that was, and how banged up they are too to continue to be competitive, and be in these games is a kudos to the year that they're having, and that the year that Baker's having, frankly.
Yeah. He's so easy to root for now. He really is. Um, Steelers 28, Commanders 27. This is a tough rookie mistake for Johnny Newton. Steelers get him to jump off sides, and it's game over. Competitive back and forth game. Um, Russell Westbrook only completes 50% of his passes, but throws three
Try
touchdown
that one
passes and
again.
a pick. What?
You said Russell Westbrook. He does not
Oh,
play for
damn
the
it.
Steelers.
They mentioned they mentioned him on a podcast I was listening to today. Maybe I got Russell Westbrook in my brain still.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, Russell Wilson, Russell W's, I guess.
Yep.
It was an entertaining game, an entertaining, second half in particular, but tough one for Johnny Newton, really tough. But yeah, an entertaining football game.
Yeah, that's my takeaway too. Is it sucks it had to end the way that it did. Like you just can't jump off sides in that point. It stinks that the Commanders turned back into the Commanders at the worst possible time.
Yeah, it's one that I think they'll grow from, but like this is an adversity test for them that will be on the newer side of things for Jane Daniels so far. He's had a pretty decent year so far. So
Real
we'll
quick
see what
to
happens.
real quick too, I'd like to find a Steelers fan and know how they're feeling about their team this year. Because I mean, it's been a good year for Pittsburgh, but like I'd like to know how much confidence Steelers fans actually have in their team. Because like don't we know how this is going to end for them? They're not gonna have to play on the road in a wild card game because they're probably got a good shot of winning that division and hosting a playoff game. But like it's the same thing every year for the Steelers. I feel like they have these good seasons. They maybe taper off a little bit towards the end, get into the playoffs, and then get just their doors blown off by the Bills or somebody else. So like, I'd like to ask a Steelers fan, like, how you feeling after this? You know, you're rolling pretty high right now. Is there hope for this team, or is it just like can kind of see what's coming at the end of the tunnel? Like it's gonna be more of the same because like I don't know. I don't have any faith the Steelers make a deep playoff run. Like, yeah, they've had guys step up. Their defense has been excellent this year, but like I don't know. It's just something about Pittsburgh that
They could
you
win a
kind of,
game, probably. Yeah, like
yeah,
that's it.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm still not there either. I'm with you. Like, they're not the Steelers, but they're still the Steelers, if that makes
Exactly. Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
Chargers 27, Titans 17. Justin Herbert only throws the ball 18 times, but completes 14 of them. Touchdown, a rushing touchdown. Will Levis, no memes,
That stinks.
no
Yeah.
memes.
It was the most notable thing from this
What's
game.
what's what's the point? What's the point,
Why
Will?
even
Give us
play him? Yeah.
memes.
Yep.
The Chargers defense continues to be excellent. There's some sort of like average points per game stat that I wish I had on me. That they have like the best average points per game at this point in the season of any team since like 2006 allowed.
Wow.
Like something like that. It was crazy. Shows what difference Jim Harbaugh can make. From a defense that fucking sucked
It
last
was
year.
terrible
So
last year. Yeah.
pretty remarkable.
If
And
there's a team to show you how important coaching is in the NFL and just in the sports in general, the Chargers going from Brandon Staley, that absolute idiot, and you want to talk about a guy that should never have a job in the NFL again. Like there were people that were like, "Oh, the roster sucks." Like Brandon Staley, he's dealing with what he's working with. Working with what he's got, and then again, it's pretty much the same roster. Like there weren't a whole lot of big changes with this Chargers team outside of obviously getting rid of most of their pass catchers, and that even
and
worked
two
out
new
for
running
him.
backs.
That too. Austin Eckler's gone. I can't think of the other running back they had last year.
Dobbins and Edwards. Edwards came back, led the team in rushing this week.
Yep, true. But yeah, I mean that like you said, that's the Harbaugh effect right there. And again, the fact that the Chargers were able to sack Will Levis 7 times and we didn't get one meme out of it is a little discouraging.
Yeah, we need memes. A meme quota. It's too like get his commercial off too. The fucking commercial. I don't need
The
that.
creepy Mayo
Um,
one, yeah.
yeah, fuck that. Creepy guy, creepy commercial. Um, yeah, my Jets to win pick was bad. Okay, just say it. Fine.
Just move on. Yep, it's okay. We've all had some stinkers. It's nothing to be proud of, but
Kyler
they suck.
almost pulled a Jared Goff and pulled a perfect game. 22 to 24, 2 rushing touchdowns. Marv scored. Connor scored. Benson had his best game, which is encouraging. And Trey McBride did stuff. I had my kind of like a. I was one of those people. I don't know if there are a lot of them that saw Trey McBride rank so high in fantasy. I was like, okay, maybe we should temper
I'll,
expectations a little bit. But he's had a
yep.
few games.
My
He's had a
buddy
few
in my
games.
other league
But
was
the
the same
role was
exact way.
there.
Yep.
I just didn't know if the production was going to be there. But it is. He's a good player. And the defense, hey, like not this defense that's known for epic performances like this, but they played very good. The Jets are still the Jets. In case you needed any more confirmation, they got fucked up, and the Cardinals looked like a playoff team.
Their season's the Jets season. Their season's over. I mean, the Cardinals. I don't think you think of the Cardinals as like a bully, wear you down team when you think of the Arizona Cardinals. But watching most of that game, just having it on in the afternoon or when they went to it on Red Zone, like they beat up on the Jets. The Jets, they're dead. They have no life. I mean, you're starting to see a little bit of Aaron Rodgers kind of come back with Devontae Adams in a sense of target share. Um, but they suck. They're done. Like you listen to him, and he finally kind of sounds like a defeated man being Aaron Rodgers, which is obviously hilarious to see because we can't stand Aaron Rodgers. But that was the big thing for me is like the Cardinals. I feel like you think of more of a flashy offensive team. Kyler Murray is going to run around, make a lot of these plays, and it was just punch you right in the mouth, and there's nothing you can do about it because it was just straight domination from Arizona right from the get go.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it'd be kind of cool to see the Kyler Murray in the playoffs this year. Marvin Harrison Jr.
They've
in the
been
playoffs.
scrappy, yeah. So interesting to see if they can maybe pull something out.
We
Maybe
know if they're down two, you
upset a
can't
team.
really count them out. So
True.
they have a way to be scrappy, like
Yep.
you said. Eagles 34, Cowboys 6. Mwahahaha. Almost the same score as the Cardinals and Jets game. Teams we both don't like getting their shit stomped.
Just destroyed. Yep.
I don't like the fucking Eagles either, but hey, I'll take this. It's mind blowing to me that Cooper Rush didn't play good. To be honest, I can't really believe it. Right?
Shocker. Yeah.
Wow. Got to play him at 30 years old over Trey Lance. Like, why not give Trey Lance a fucking chance? If you give up a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance and you're not going to start him now, like, your season's fucking over.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, you're done. And that's just
just
Jerry
give Trey Lance a
Jones.
chance. Like,
That's
it's
just
obviously not
Jerry
like
Jones
he's
trying
going
to
to play
hold on to
over.
something.
It's always like he's not going to play over Dak next year,
Mhm.
of course, because Dak's locked up now. But like, you traded for the guy. He's young. Like, it's better than Cooper Rush putting up 45 fucking yards.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
even though Trey Lance threw a pick,
Here's a crazy thing too.
I'd give him another chance.
Play Trey Lance the rest of the way. If he pops, you're not gonna. You have
Yeah,
Dak obviously under contract. You can trade his ass. Like get him out of
yeah.
there for you. You're gonna need to replenish your team. You're gonna lose guys. So get as many draft picks as you can at this point. Um, if he plays well, dangle him out there in some stupid team that needs a quarterback or will probably trade for him. Like wouldn't be the worst thing on the planet. You're not playing for it at this point. I got to assume at some point CeeDee Lamb's gonna get shut down. He's dealing with a shoulder injury, an AC joint injury. Um, so if they continue to stink, I feel like he's probably going to be done by the end of the year. They clearly don't want to play for Mike McCarthy anymore after what Micah Parsons said. Like he went
Yeah.
scorched earth over the weekend. That team's just a mess. You got Jerry Jones and CeeDee Lamb fighting about the sunlight in the stadium, which is another just complete Jerry
The
Jones, just
sun, the
stupid.
fucking sun.
Yeah, exactly. Just absolute stupidity there. Like that franchise is, and it's funny too because again we don't like the Cowboys. Um, Funny to watch that, and again, like you said, just shocking that you can't win a game with Cooper Rush and you look as bad as you did. Nothing against Cooper Rush, but like I texted you, you know what he is at this point. Like he's not going to light the world on fire. I'm
Not
with
good.
you. Give it a Lance and see if he can do something.
Yeah, fuck it, dude. Like your season's over. Just do it. I don't know. Fuck the Cowboys. Who cares? Um, Lions 26, Texans 23. Texans had ownership of this game for a while, but it did not matter on Sunday night. Jared Goff throws 5 picks and they win. Like, very strange. Someone made up a fake stat that he's won like 6 or 7 games with like 4+ picks. And like people ran with it. Like he's won like
That
every game. He's thrown 4 more picks, which was pretty funny to see.
early career Jared Goff, that might not be the craziest thing to come up with and think about.
It certainly wasn't a true stat.
No.
That would be preposterous. Hey, give the Lions some credit. You know, this is a team that we've seen beat up on teams, and they had to deal with a little bit of adversity against a team that is shorthanded at receiver. And, you know, even with that factor and the offensive line looking rough these last few weeks for the Texans, give the Lions some credit here. Still showing they're one of the top dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. They're kind of in the same boat as the Chiefs for me, not on the luck side of things, but like will beat you in multiple ways. You know, can just obviously we haven't seen the Chiefs bludgeon people, but there is that ability to do so when you have Patrick Mahomes. Like the Lions, well balanced offensive attack. You're still seeing great defensive performances even without Aiden Hutchinson. So the Lions are one of, if not the most scariest teams in the NFL, at least in my opinion, because they can do it to you in multiple ways.
See if they can take down the Chiefs.
Let's hope. Fingers crossed.
Let's see and hope, hopefully. Dolphins 23, Rams 15. I have nothing on this game. Do you have anything?
Not really. I mean, like I said, watching it just for fantasy purposes last night, needed 17 points from Tyreek Hill and Kyron Williams. Had to sweat for a little bit when Williams fumbles and Tyreek Hill just doesn't get used at all. Um, that's the thing for me. Dolphins offense still looks anemic. You said it earlier. Tua is the dumbest quarterback in the NFL, trying to tackle a guy and gets hit in the head with a knee, like you said. Like, it just stop putting yourself in those positions to get hurt again. And then if you come back, I'm sure he'll be a dick to reporters like he was the last time. Like, it's getting more and more difficult to root for Tua when he does stuff like this. Again, I think Mike McDaniel is insanely overrated as a head coach. Didn't really do a whole lot. Didn't do a whole lot. I know they won the game, but like this was an uninspiring performance. Their defense was the thing that stepped up and held the Rams to what, like 5 field goals. Quick math there. Good job on me. um, just not an inspiring performance for them. And
Were
like
you
you
good at your
said,
times tables back in the day?
I was those quick little tests you had to do. Where it
Yeah,
was like you
so
had to do it in
easy.
60 seconds. Yeah, you
So
blew
easy.
those.
Those and spelling tests and vocab quizzes. Just come
Yep.
on, get that shit out of my face. Easy as fuck.
Don't come in here with that weak shit.
Get that weak shit out of here.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this one, again, as soon as I got my fantasy points, I'm like, oh, that's it for me. I'm done watching this game because it is just not a brand of football I want to watch right now. It was boring.
Yeah, and like it's seriously to the point where like Tua's like you see those cartoons with like the devil and the angel on the shoulder. And
Yeah.
it's like the angel on his shoulder has a Guardian cap on. He's like, "Fuck this guy. I don't like the Guardian cap. I'm gonna go with the Devil. I'm
Flicks
gonna
him
run in
off.
and try and
Yeah.
tackle someone and get a knee in
Yep.
the fucking forehead."
Yep.
Like, God, he's really just keeping you on the edge of your seat.
The
Seriously,
Devil's
because
got
like
like a horn cracked because it's been hitting the head so many fucking times and just do it.
he
Run into
frightens
that,
me.
run into
He
that guy.
frightens me.
You
Why do
got
you
it.
do these things? Why do
I
you
don't
do
get
these
it
things
again.
to him? Oh
And again,
God.
I think that goes to the coaching too. Stop fucking running into people. Like, and you can't obviously control what he does, but like you have to think someone in the organization needs to get to him and be like, dude, like how many times are you gonna run headfirst into people or put yourself in those positions to get hurt? Like, and then
It's like
he's gonna
the
be an a-hole and like I'm
It's
not
like the
doing.
meme of Jonah Hill and Moneyball when like people make tweets like this guy does this and this and this. And they'll post like a
Yeah,
tweet about it.
his
Like Tua
one
can do
problem is
this, and this. His one problem is that he loves to get hit in the
his
fucking
one
head.
weakness is he hates to slide and loves getting head
Oh
contact.
God. Uh, um week 11. Let's run through some games for week 11 and give our winners and losers. I went 7-7 last week. I think I changed one last minute.
You
I'm not
did.
gonna do that this
I
time.
think it screwed you in the
Um
end.
Yeah, I don't know. I had some decent weeks early on. Now it's not as decent. Commanders and Eagles. I went back and forth on this one, but I picked the Commanders in the end. I think, the Eagles, it looked a little dicey before that Browns game, where you're wondering about Sirianni's job security, but they've played solid enough the last few weeks, had some great stretches. They're 7-2, 7-2, 7-2 at the end of the day. But I like the Commanders to respond and win this game and win it close. And it'll be an exciting NFC East showdown. One that we probably didn't expect to be this exciting before the season.
No.
But now it's a must-watch Thursday night game.
Absolutely, one of the more entertaining ones for sure. I'm gonna take the Eagles. I don't like it. I don't feel great about it because I don't like the Eagles. Um, I just think they're playing better football right now. You've seen the Commanders struggle a little bit. I'm not saying Jaden Daniels has hit a wall or anything, but he hasn't really had those electric performances like we saw at the start of the year. Eagles are starting to roll a little bit on offense. Their defense, as we've talked about these last couple of weeks, the pass rush is starting to get a little better. Obviously, it'll be more difficult with a more mobile quarterback in Daniels this week, but I think the Eagles in the end find a way to win this game.
Yeah, it's a tough one to pick, but I want the Commanders. You want the Eagles to see who is right. Jets and Colts. I am not picking the Jets.
Didn't
this
want to take
week.
them again? All right.
I was even willing to take them with Joe Flacco. I'm sticking with them with Anthony Richardson. Beating the Colts. Good God, would I love to see the Jets just lose out somehow? That would be something. And yeah, I'm going with the Colts on the road, beating the Jets. It doesn't matter. Aaron Rodgers is a shell. The Jets aren't good. The Colts will win this game, I believe.
I mean, he's dealing with injuries. There's no doubt about that. But I think at this point, the one thing you watch the Jets for is to try to figure out and maybe place a bet on when Aaron Rodgers fakes an injury or kind of is just like, that's it, I'm done. Like, I'm going to call it quits these last couple of weeks of the year. Like, I very easily think you're getting close to that. And this might be the game that does it. Because again, I think just kind of hearing some stuff from him post game, he sounds like a broken man again, which is hilarious. I'm taking the Colts as well. Didn't care who was at quarterback. I'm not picking the Jets. They're just an absolute anemic team right now. And the Colts aren't playing great football either. Don't get me wrong.
No, they're not.
But I'm going to take them over the Jets every day, twice on Sunday, because the Jets suck.
Maybe we'll see Tyrod Taylor this game. Maybe we won't.
Maybe.
The Packers go to the Windy City and play the Bears. Hopefully, for the Bears' sake, they can get a better result than last week. But they won't, because the Packers will win.
Right there with you. I don't know how many times you get a little bit of a boost from an offensive coordinator change like you do when you get a head coaching change like we saw with the Saints last week. Doesn't matter. Bears still stink. We are both in agreement that Caleb Williams is firmly broken this year and nothing is going to change until Eberflus gets canned at the end of the year. I'm taking the Packers. Way better team, playing better football, and a team that isn't broken right now.
Ben Johnson's spot, perhaps. Bears, Ben Johnson.
Perhaps.
The yin and the yang game, the Lions and the Jaguars.
I swear to God, if this is a game Mac Jones pulls out of his ass and wins.
Guys, you're not going to believe this, but I'm picking the Lions.
I know, right? How much are you going to... I'll ask this question. How much are you picking the Lions by in this game? Because I'm not going to bore people being like, hey, it's the Lions. It's obvious. But, like, you want to talk about points. How many points do the Lions win this game by?
24.
Okay, I'm going to go with a flat 20. I think they maybe come out of the gate a little sluggish because it's one of those games where it's like, we'll just show up and beat the Jaguars. So maybe Matt gets lucky, gets in the end zone once. But in the end, it's going to be the Lions. They'll just stomp the Jaguars by 20 plus.
I agree. Dolphins and Raiders. I think the Dolphins pick up where they left off a little bit
Yep.
and use it against a team they can certainly beat. The Raiders suck. So yeah, I'm not picking them to win, even against the Dolphins, who also suck, but suck
Yep.
less.
Raiders in the same boat the
Christian
Jets are.
Wilkins
See,
revenge game.
oh, maybe.
But is he hurt? Is he hurt?
I don't know. Can't
He
tell.
might be out for the season,
I
actually.
can't say I followed the Raiders too closely this year. So
Yeah, he's Wilkins missing out on Dolphins reunion. So
all right, there you go.
he last played on October 6th. Yeah, he is hurt.
All right. Either way, I'm picking
So
the Dolphins. I'm right there with you.
no
Raiders
Christian
stink.
Wilkins revenge game. Prank.
No, gotcha.
Gotcha. Rams Patriots. We both picked the Rams. You know that if you were listening. Browns Saints. Yuck. Browns.
I'm a little surprised
Jameis
you didn't go with the
Winston revenge
Saints
game?
here. That's
No.
that's why I'm taking the Browns. And plus, their defense is better than the Saints, as we know. But like, can you really think Marcus Valdez-Scantling's gonna have a 2 touchdown performance again and play out of his ass? I don't. Like, I'm not asking you. I'm just saying for the people that think the Saints might win this game, it's the Browns. I'd like to see a Jameis revenge game as well.
Yeah. Ravens and Steelers 7-2 versus 7-3. There's no fiber in my being that can pick the Steelers here.
Really? Not even the fact that they're at home and playing pretty decent football.
No fiber in my being.
All right, we differ on this one then. I'm going to take the Steelers. Like, I'm taking the cheese a little bit. Ravens, this might be a spot where, again, kind of like I talked about in a different sense with the Lions, I think obviously to win that game, but maybe the Ravens come in thinking like, yeah, we're, cock of the walk right now. We're, maybe the best team in the AFC. Steelers, I think, catch them here. I think Mike Tomlin coaches Harbaugh, and the Steelers come away with a pretty impressive victory.
A Harbaugh meltdown in a game against the Steelers would be fun to watch.
It would be.
Consolation.
Yeah.
Vikings and Titans.
Don't overthink it.
It's not a super confident Vikings after the Jaguars game for me.
Okay.
Not super confident.
It is still the Titans.
Just as easily could respond and stomp them. But I don't know. I'm going with the Vikings, but I have a weird feeling.
Will Levis meme, what is it? You can't pick that he gets bundled by a defensive player and rolled up like a bowling ball. You got to pick something else this week. We didn't have a Will Levis meme last week. I'm going simple. He falls off the bench and spills his water on him. Just gonna keep it simple, stupid. Or goes to open his water like the prank, and somebody the cap wasn't on, so he just dumps it all over himself. We're gonna start small here.
He has he has some sort of cartoonish fall on the sidelines.
Slips on a banana peel type of cartoon. All right. I can get down with that. That's fine. Somebody had orange,
right,
orange,
this week.
Brought a bag of oranges for a snack and peeled the orange and got it. All right, cool.
Yeah, keep it simple this week. Hello, Mystic May
I like that we both have sideline memes
chat.
this week.
Ryan, I was saying hello to someone in the chat, man. You interrupted me.
I apologize.
Mystic May, shout out to you, Mystic May, in the Twitch chat.
I'm sorry about that.
What were you going to say?
I find it funny we both picked sideline memes this week for Will Levis. Nothing in the actual game that occurs. Just
he gets hurt, falls out of the injury tent.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that one. Yeah, goes into it hurt, comes out even more hurt. The doctor's
Certainly
we don't know what happens.
Yeah, someone put the banana peel outside of the injury tent.
There you go. It was Mason Rudolph who wants to get back in there and play because the Titans look better with Mason Rudolph than they do with Will Levis.
Yeah, seriously. Falcons at Broncos. I'm going with the Broncos in this game because these teams are
they're both gross, but
similar tax brackets to me. It just feels like the Broncos winning a close one. Maybe it's justice them winning a close one with how things went down against the Chiefs, but both of these teams are gross in different ways. And I'm taking the Broncos with not much confidence.
Okay. I'm taking the Falcons with not much confidence either. I just think their offense is slightly better, and maybe it's out of spite that I need the Broncos to lose out to win some money, because I still can't believe they might get to their over 5.5 win total. I don't have a lot of faith in that roster. So,
no, me neither. I don't know why you really would. Seahawks 49ers really wanted to pick the Seahawks in this game. This is where they get a big win. And I feel like we're both going to be wrong, but I'm picking the 49ers.
Yeah, San
but
Francisco's
we're
starting to
not
get
going to be wrong,
healthier.
right? Yeah, we're
I
not going
hope
to be
not.
wrong.
Like they're starting to get healthier, starting to roll a little bit. Christian McCaffrey came back. You know, didn't look like vintage Christian McCaffrey, but did have some moments of both the dual threat that he is. Juwan Jennings looked good coming back. I think he had like 11 targets or something, so he was a big weapon for them. Maybe he could do the same thing in this game. Um, we didn't even talk about it. Hopefully, if it doesn't come down to a field goal or anything, Moody doesn't miss, so Debo Samuel can go after him again because that was kind of crazy this past weekend. Um,
Yeah. They would say, oh, yeah, heat of the moment, too. Yeah.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. I
it was
got
a
the
competitive
competitive
game.
nature, but he got the better of
Yeah.
myself. Like,
Shut the fuck up.
dude, you just like almost choked or tried to choke out your long
Yeah.
snapper or kicker, whoever it was that he did it to. Like, take it easy, calm down.
Take it easy, guy. Chiefs at Bills. I will be picking the
I
Bills
like your
because this
spirit.
can't go on any longer.
I can't get getting away with this.
I can't. I couldn't type Chiefs in. I couldn't do
I
it.
like your
I
spirit.
couldn't do it.
They've broken me. We've talked about it. I can't pick against them at this point. It pains me to do it, but this would
Oh,
be
you
the
want to
buff.
go undefeated? No,
Yeah.
no, not allowed.
No. Okay. You know what happens if you're right in this game? This will be the. It happens almost every year, or pretty close to it. I feel like same thing happens to Cincinnati. Bills will beat them in the regular season. They'll get all high and mighty. Or we knocked off the Chiefs, and
True,
you
true.
watch what happens in the playoffs if these two teams play each other. So
Yeah.
mhm. Maybe that's why I'll pick the Chiefs too. Maybe if it happens, we have a switch of fortune here. Maybe the Chiefs win in the regular season, they meet the Bills. The Bills win in the
What the
playoffs. But
hell? Do you see what just happened in the Celtics game? That was wacky.
no, I did
That
not.
like fumbled pass and then the fumbled dunk attempt, layup attempt. That was
A lot
kind
of
of funny.
fumbles. Not good.
Um,
But yeah, taking the Chiefs. They've broken me. I
yeah.
can't pick against them.
Okay, that's fair, I guess. Coward. Bengals at Chargers.
Fair enough.
Bengals at Chargers. The Bengals will get out coached in this game and lose to the Chargers.
I wanted to pick the Bengals so badly, but I'm like, I can't. Their defense sucks. Joe Burrow could throw for 500 yards in this game, and the Chargers will find a way to win it by like a field goal or some sort of wacky play at the end of the game. I'm taking the Chargers as well.
Something this season is missing, and something I love, and it might just be me. I love a Gus Johnson. Gus
Gus
Edwards
Edwards.
goal line touchdown.
He's been
Gus
hurt most
Edwards
of the
gets
year,
in.
so
Gus Edwards gets into the end zone this week. I love
Cincinnati's
Gus.
defense stinks, so could very well see that happening.
I love Gus. Chargers, Texans, and Cowboys. It's the fucking Texans, friends. The Cowboys are really bad. You shouldn't pick them. Yeah, it's the Texans. Maybe Nico Collins will come back. I don't know. They'll win either way.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of faith in the Cowboys winning this game. The only positive is it'll be played at night, so we don't have to worry about CeeDee Lamb losing the ball in the sun and Jerry Jones having to answer about the rotation of the earth and knowing where the sun's gonna be. Like we could easily do that too. Like we talk about a Will Levis meme week after week. Like what's the Jerry Jones comment gonna be week after week after they lose? Like that could be something to start doing. Or like what's he
That
gonna
would be a
blame
little
on the
more
loss this
difficult,
week?
yeah.
Who's he gonna reference? Because he referenced a bunch of old Cowboys a couple weeks ago, talking about coming back from injuries. I can't remember who exactly it was, but was it Michael Irvin? I can't remember who it was. But
Jerry Jones is going to find a way to blame the 5G for a loss.
you said that, but it's not the craziest thing. Like, you guys hear about this new
If Jerry
5G
Jones knew what the
thing?
5G was, or yeah, he'd be like, he finds out about it.
Yeah.
That's what he plays like this 5G. I don't know what this
Yeah.
5G is, but
You guys hear about this new phenomenon called the 5G?
The new 5G.
Yeah.
Arizona, Carolina, the Giants, and the Bucks are all in bye weeks. Thank God, because 3 out of those 4 teams fucking suck. Just kidding.
I was gonna say, who's the third?
I'm used to saying the Cardinals suck because okay.
2 out of 4 absolutely stink.
2 out of 4 suck. Confirmed. The Panthers and the Giants.
Big win for football this week, not having to worry about the Panthers and the Giants.
Both of the teams that face each other in Germany get the bye week. So, yeah.
It must be nice.
Must be nice. Yeah, truly. Shall we switch to Bruins?
Yes.
It's been an interesting week for the Bruins, Ryan.
Always an interesting week for the Bruins.
Yeah. Matt says 5G my ass. That's right. You want the 5G to do something to your ass, though? That's kind of weird.
It's a little strange. I don't know why we had to go there.
Corpusalo stops 34-37. High shooting affair. 38-37 in shots. The Bruins signed their first member of their draft class, not in pick, but in players they've signed. Loke Johansson to his ELC for the game. I think he's got like 7 points in 17 games in the QMJHL this year. Came over from Sweden, so that's cool. They out hit the Flames 22-12. They were 0-2 on the power play, unsurprisingly. They gave away the puck a lot, but Calgary gave away more. 21 for Boston, 23 for Calgary. Really loved what Hampus Lindholm did on the activation on that goal because that was really smart. And Poss found him and they scored, which was cool. Then it was given away 19 seconds later. Tyson Barrie scores, and I don't really know why Korpisalo didn't save this one, to be honest with you. But overall, I was okay with his performance. Even though, as you'll see, there were 2 goals I think he could have had. I mean, he made 34 out of 37 saves. So you'll take that, even with a couple doozies, in my opinion. Rare goalie penalty as Dustin Wolf tripped Brad Marchand. I thought Brad Marchand would do a little typical Marchand thing too and give him a little whack or something too and take a dumb penalty, but or say something to him, but he didn't. That's good.
He's grown up.
We've seen enough dumb penalties. Maybe as the captain, he's like, I should be a little more
I
careful.
want to, but I can't.
We're
already a dumb team. I can't be taking more dumb penalties.
Really dumb.
Yeah.
Zaka just takes a whack at a bouncing puck. Sometimes it's it doesn't have to be pretty, but maybe it was pretty in its own way that it was in midair. Gets one past Wolf. Coyle finds Cole Koepke. Coyle to Cole. Backdoor. Sharangovich deflects one past Korpisalo. And honestly, I think Korpisalo could have had a Kadri goal, but it was a nice shot at the same time. Don't know what Rasmus Anderson was thinking behind the net. Got like really, really comfortable, and Elias Lindholm got in there, stapled him to the boards, freed the puck, and just found Marchand. Took a shot, found his own rebound, buried it. So that was it. Not the best, but not the worst.
That doesn't instill a lot of confidence in you.
No, but a win's a win. Let's go to Ottawa. Swayman versus Ullmark. Wish they could have kept them both, but it just doesn't work that way.
Nope.
31 saves and 34 shots for Mr. Swayman in the OT loss. They get outshot 34-16. And my goodness, am I glad I was on the road to Maine for this game because I listened on the radio for like the first period, then I don't know, I guess 5 or 6 minutes of the second period before I lost radio frequency as I crossed state lines and further into New Hampshire. 0-for-2 on the power play again. Crazy. Out hit them 42-35. Lots of hits in this game. I wonder how many Brady Tkachuk accounted for because he likes to do that. 21 giveaways to 15 for Ottawa. Don't really like this large amount of giveaways that we are seeing lately. Really don't. Didn't like that nobody could really get close to making a play on Tkachuk in the corner on the Norris goal. Coyle or Zadorov. Nikita Zadorov has been pretty bad.
He's pretty much useless.
Really not a huge fan of him so far, but I think hopefully he can fix it. I don't know. You can tell in my voice I'm not very confident right now, though. Zaka's spinning backhand goal was sick. They took a too many men penalty. They still like to do that from time to time. They even had a moment in the Leafs game that you saw if you saw it on Twitter or behind the B, where Justin Brazeau almost did it against the Leafs, and Frederick had to hold him back and pull him into the bench, and they didn't get called.
That's good.
And Frederick goes, holding Braz back, like penalty, haha. It's like, yeah, Poitras goes, yeah, it's hard. Guy's a fucking moose. Poor Poitras. I wish he didn't get sent down. We'll talk about that a little later. Speaking of Brazeau, he does something coming up here. Fantastic effort by Lindholm. He's been really good on these offensive zone activations, jumping into the play. Really impressive. He drives to the net. Brazeau finds Marchand and bang. That's another goal. Swayman might have been moving screened, but he kind of used a save there on the Amadio goal. Not great. Definitely a shot he could have had. And it looked like the Bruins might have won this one in overtime, but no. The rebound from the cross crease attempt from Lindholm goes right onto Tkachuk's stick, who scores another one. Swayman I'm sorry. Not great. Glad to have missed this one. They had 0 shots in the third period.
That's just utterly pathetic.
I had to take a moment of silence there. I don't know.
Like that, I don't even know how like to comprehend that. I really don't. Like that has to be insanely difficult. Like just like because you get credited for like a dump in that goes on net, don't you? Like to not even have that happen just shows that you just not that they were. I don't know if they were dominant because to be honest, I didn't. That was the only thing I knew from this game. I didn't catch any of it. But to see that on Twitter, like I just it just blows my mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I also didn't see the game too, so I can't really speak to that whether they got dominated or not thing. But let's move on to St. Louis. A win makes them 4-1-1 in their last 6 games. Doesn't feel that way, but
God no, yeah.
sure fucking doesn't. They moved to 8-7-2. With this one, loser points do help early on in the season when you're battling for position early on in the season of the division. Swayman stops 20 of 22. They outshoot the Blues 30-22, and it looked bad for a while. Didn't look
Yes, it
good.
did.
Another uninspiring performance. 0 for 4 on the power play. 0 for 8 in your last 3 games. The power play is non-existent. St. Louis was 2 for 3. You had hit them 29-17, which is good. 18 giveaways to 15 for St. Louis. Poitras is sent down to Providence before this one. I get it and I don't get it. It's like he accelerated the guy's growth last year, which I was fine with.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah,
got
so was
hurt
I.
later in the season. Unfortunate. He's gotten banged up a couple times. That's fair to be concerned about and fair to not love about what's happened throughout his season. He just scored his first goal a couple weeks ago. Like his 5-on-5 numbers are good. I don't really get this one entirely because I think at this point, riding it out at the NHL level might be best for him because he deals with those bumps and bruises, but he equips himself, hopefully, to handle those bumps and bruises better over time. Maybe avoid those things over time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Learn the game more, learn the pro style more. He's played a decent amount of games, but there's still a lot to learn. Like, I'll find the tweet too that Scott McLaughlin tweeted out with the 5-on-5 information that I'm referring to. Like he's gonna be fine in Providence, which is the good thing about this. Like he's gonna play a lot. He's gonna be fine. It could be temporary,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't entirely get it.
See, my question is,
You're
when we've seen this happen. You have the tweet. I didn't want to cut you off if you found it. You wanted to read it.
yeah. See if I can find it real fast while we're on the subject.
No,
A
because
lot
I
of
was gonna say
tweets
while you
in
do
different
that,
languages.
just so we're not sitting here in silence. When stuff like that happens, like it's not like he's a player that's had a ton of NHL experience. Because, like you said, he got hurt last year. But like to me, when I see that, I want to be like, what else do you think he has to? And this isn't me asking you the question. It's just me asking, or would like to ask the Bruins. Like, you send him down. What benefit do you think that gives him? Like, it's not like he has like a ton left to learn at the I almost said the AAA level, but you know what I mean. Like the the Providence level or the AHL level. Like, I'm with you. If he has these struggles, you let him figure it out at the NHL level against the top tier talent. Like, okay, so he goes down there and he not beats up, but you know what I mean. Has a successful stint against some lesser talents. I don't see how that like that doesn't build confidence in him. I'd have to imagine. I would think like he'd want to be up here. Obviously, everybody wants to be up at the NHL level. But you think he'd want to be up here trying to work through these bumps and bruises, like you said, instead of I playing like crap. I'm not playing how I want to. Now I get demoted. Like yeah, like you said, I'm gonna get a ton of playing time down in Providence, and I'm probably gonna have a successful little stint here. But like I just don't see the point of it. Again, with like I'm with you. You probably feel the same way. I would rather see these young guys at this point try to figure things out. I don't know who's playing over them. If you're bringing up another like fourth line stiff that the Bruins seem to
Yeah.
love, you said yep, that's what they did.
No, yeah,
Oh,
no, like
okay,
yep, like I get what you're saying, but I mean,
gotcha.
Geeky's up on the first line. That worked in the third period primarily last night. You have Tyler Johnson around now. They embraced the like physical size aspect this offseason. They've already cast away a couple of those guys in Tufty and Jones, and then they have a guy that's got some skating ability and some youth. And you send him down. The thing that's interesting is, he seems like a positive kid. Like Mark Divers said yesterday, he shows up with a smile on his face, like ready to go. Doesn't look like super like downtrodden or anything. I just had the fucking tweet and I accidentally went away from it. Because I'm a fucking idiot. So God. But as you see me not looking at the screen as I talk here, because I'm scrolling for the tweet. There it is. The AHL point I wanted to bring up is his first look down there was with Max Jones and Fabian Lysell. Maybe if him and Fabian Lysell stay together, maybe that gives them more confidence to bring up Fabian Lysell. I don't
Okay, build
know.
some sort of
Maybe
rapport
they're
down
still
there.
hoping for that. Like this is Matt Poitras is going to be fine. Based off what I said, you might think I don't like the move. I don't for some reasons, but he's going to be fine. I'm not. This doesn't worry me about him. I've never been worried about Poitras, but like I don't know. I think I was more okay than some than with him dealing with the bumps and bruises. The 5-on-5 tweet that for anybody who's been waiting on bated breath. This was on November 3rd, so some time has passed since then. Of course, it's been sent down for a few days now. Bruins with Matt Poitras on the ice at 5-on-5 this season. Again, it's on November 3rd per natural stat trick. Shot attempts when he's on the ice 116 to 87, 51%, 57.1% rather. Expected goals 5.46 to 3, 64.5%. Scoring chances 56 to 29, 65.9%. And high danger chances 19 to 7, 73.1%. Leads the team in each of those categories. So I've also seen a lot of people that just like hop on Poitras whenever something they see they don't like.
Goes wrong, yeah.
It's shiny toy syndrome. They're like, this kid came in early. We expect him to be fucking nasty. He's not, which is fine. But like, if you expected Matt Poitras to be nasty by 20, I don't know what to fucking
That's your
tell you
own
because it
fault.
just
Yeah.
wasn't happening. It wasn't happening. Like, he's a good player that got to the league sooner than expected. But part of that is need, and part of that is what he earned. Him earning it and him having some skills doesn't mean he like. I don't know that people should have expected that much more from him at this point.
I think it's a fair way to
Like
look at
it
it
is
for
what it
sure.
is. He's still developing. He's not this big guy. He's a guy, you were hoping to play in the bottom six for the majority of the season, I'd imagine. And now you've sent down to the AHL for some seasoning, and maybe just like a bigger role. And he comes up with his hair on fire and does something. Maybe he's a little more comfortable, but I don't know. I was just okay with them keeping him up here. That just is what it is, and he's had 5-on-5 impacts. Um, you hope this isn't like a step back in his development that could affect him. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it will be, but it could be, I guess. But I'm not too worried about it. I've never been too worried about Poitras, but you just kind of hope this is temporary. Like, I hope we're not seeing Poitras in the minors for like 2-3 months,
Mm-hmm.
unless he
Yeah,
like
that
goes
would
down there
be
and
dumb.
just doesn't do anything, which I don't see happening. So, yeah, it's a bit of a complicated scenario, but like I don't know. I was kind of hoping he would stick around and play the season here. So, I mean, look at Mason Lohrei too. It's a different position with the defense, of course, banged up a little bit now. Like Mason Lohrei hasn't had a spotless season, and he's fine. Like he's in and out of the lineup. Like just do that with Poitras.
That would
I
make the
was
most
okay with that
sense. Yeah.
too. There's tons of merit to the side of him playing a lot, but like if he needs to come out of the lineup every once in a while, that's okay too. Like I don't know, but of course, some of the guys you've had come up for depth roles are now in the minors too, and Tufty and Jones. So maybe they just want to roll with an older group and see what Potter looks like in like a month or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird, but I don't know. I don't think his development is over. I think he'll be fine. He'll come back up and he'll be a contributor. And maybe this will benefit him a lot. That's what you're hoping for. Any other thoughts on Potter from you?
Nothing that hasn't already been said.
Alrighty. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Mr. Matt Poitras. This was a David Pastrnak game, folks. And David Pastrnak is leading the team in scoring, but he hasn't always quite been himself. We talked about that a little bit last week. A goal and an assist, 10 shots on goal. The game winner, as Shayna had on Twitter here, at Hey Shay on Twitter, a 22-6 edge in shot attempts at 5-on-5 in his minutes, a 97% expected goals rate, and 2 primary points from Pastrnak last night.
Pretty good.
Just huge. This is what you need from him. You need that extra echelon of skill and impact. and he showed it last night. Um, huge, huge, huge. Feisty at times, but scoreless first period. Not a ton to take out of there. You wanted the Bruins hopefully get out to a faster start. Just wasn't how it worked. Kairu's shot squeaks through and is potted by Shen on the power play. Then Sundqvist just chills back door and gets an easy power play goal. Penalty kills had its bruises too. It's not great on the special teams front, but when things looked gloomy, Morgan Geekie comes to the rescue. With one of these primary points, Pastrnak finds him backdoor. First of the year for Geekie after sitting 3 straight games. Maybe this is the start of something. Maybe he got a confidence boost from, hey, I got healthy scratch, but they put me on the top line. I better fucking do something. And he did. So that's cool. Very cool. Like it. Love it, in fact. McAvoy. It feels good to write point hammer in all caps in the outline. I haven't had a
It's been
chance
a
to do
while.
that this
Yeah.
year. I love a point hammer. McAvoy delivered. You have guys in this game that you needed to make big plays, McAvoy, another one, and a Pastrnak one-timer squeaks through Binnington. Oh, such a shame for the game winner. Galvanizing win. Like, you could see some relief in those celebrations on those last 2 goals. You get a big win on the road. You hope this is the one, because last time when they shut out Philly, they shut out Seattle. They're like, okay,
and then they
2
went
shutouts,
right
not the
back
best
in the
teams,
tank.
but shutouts are shutouts. You like those. This one is hopefully the one, but you got Dallas coming up, so
You get Dallas and then a potential revenge
unfortunate.
spot for St. Louis. Like,
Unfortunate. And you lose Hampus Lindholm.
also
Got me
not
a
good.
shot in this game. Your best defenseman on the year. Really, really tough timing. You already have Peak out as well. We don't know when he'll be back. I haven't seen anything. Maybe I haven't looked hard enough. Because I really didn't, to be honest. It's okay. You got Jordan Osterley called up now. He's got 8 points in 9 games in Providence this year. 32-year-old veteran. You called your side for these situations. So we'll see what he can do. He's been like a 6th, 7th defenseman at any point in the past in his NHL career. Nothing really super crazy, but again, this is what you signed him for, a call-up guy. Maybe he'll have a Parker Wotherspoon-like experience. Parker Wotherspoon was that type of guy. Look where he is. He's got an NHL roster spot. One with a higher role than he did a few weeks ago before Pete got hurt. Guy that was rotating in. Now he's a more consistent part when you got injuries. This is why you have these guys. Really fucking unfortunate time to lose Hampus Lindholm. He's been throwing the puck on net a lot, which is a nice change of pace, because sometimes they don't do that and they piss me off. When we were talking earlier, he's been really good with activating offensively at the right times. He's just been your best player on defense, and now he's hurt. So you have to adapt. Right as you get a galvanizing win, you lose a top 4 defenseman. That fucking sucks, and it's going to test this team even further. They've been tested a lot, and they will be tested even further, won't they?
Yes, they will. And again, I think you took the only thing I was going to add, you took the words right out of my mouth. Like, yeah, you hope this is a game that propels them to something more. But again, now the odds are stacked against them once more. You lose, like you said, one of your better defensemen of the year. And we've seen this story before, as you mentioned. You have some of these big wins of late, and then you went right back down the tube. So you hope it's the start of something. I still, I'm not instilled with a lot of confidence in this team, no matter how well they have played, like you said, from a record-wise or standpoint over the last couple of games. That they're still just a boring team to watch for me. Like, I know they've had some
So
entertaining
boring.
wins of late, but it's a team I just still can't get behind right now. And like I texted you last night, they get down 2-0. I'm like, this is it. Like, I've had enough of Montgomery. It was a little out of frustration for how the Celtics game ended, but
Yeah,
I
that was
still
tough.
continue to see times where it's like they just look like they're kind of going through the motions out there. Like, yeah,
Yes.
it's nice that they played with a fire under them. It seems like at the end of this game, but still too many inexcusable mistakes, too many things that aren't getting fixed anytime soon. Like the power play struggling, as you mentioned. I just I don't like I said earlier at the start of the show. I think you're just continuing to kick the can further down the road here at some point. Because I still just don't think Montgomery is safe. I feel like they're going week to week by with the way things are going right now.
Game by game, perhaps. It has to
Maybe
be, right?
you
I
would
don't know.
think, like,
But like there's always the thing that comes around, like where teams are at Thanksgiving is a good indication of around where they're going to end up typically. So we'll see where they're at Thanksgiving. It's coming up.
That's what they
Um,
say.
it is what they say. We also have the weird thing with Pastrnak. Apparently, he was talking. Well, he was talking to a Czech NHL.com writer and said he dealt with like an injury in the offseason for a month and a half. Then kind of talked about how that's not affecting him right now, and it certainly didn't look like it against the Blues. So, yeah, hoping for more amazing David Pastrnak games like that. He's got one of those like 4-point outings in his bag. It's coming up. I just don't know when. I can't tell the future. So I know who's been putting up multi-point games lately a lot. Matt Duchene, who leads the third place in the Central Division 9-5 Dallas Stars with 18 points in 14 games. You have them tomorrow night on the road. 6 of the last 7 games of which he has a point have been multi-point games. So he is rolling. One of those multi-point games probably a few weeks ago against the Bruins, honestly. Knows a guy who I would like to see score a goal on the Bruins, Hampus Lindholm. Just a few assists here and there. Had a hot start to the year. Like, sound like a 45-ish point pace. Need a little more than that. Pasa showed up big time. I'm looking for a guy like Hampus Lindholm to show up.
Elias.
He's playing with Marchand. Yeah, God.
Yeah.
See, they did this. They did this with signing another Lindholm. Double Lindholms. Of course, he's not playing with Pastrnak anymore, but that's because they didn't bring up the lines yet. They might tomorrow.
I know that was the most surprising thing you texted. Like shocked when you texted me that today.
No, Marchand, Lindholm, Brazo, like we're keeping shit together. Frederick Coyle Johnson, Beecher Castle Kepke.
Give it like 4 minutes into the game when they're down 1-0, then he'll be having guys all over the place.
I know.
Tyler
Johnson so far is another player. Like, I guess, like he's been all right. He hasn't been bad, but like you're kind of waiting for him to hopefully like get a point soon, and that just galvanizes him to get ready. And back in the swing of things because looks like a guy at times, not making a ton of impact to me, but he's skating on a PTO and not in game action and practicing with the team in the training camp a little bit. So it's going to take him a little time, but maybe that starts to turn around this week because I do think he can be an impactful player. I mean, he had like 35 points, I think, last year on Chicago. So, like, he can definitely do something here.
Yeah.
Hampus Lindholm out. Jordan Oerschle maybe in. Peak's still out. Some question marks there. We'll see what happens. Lindholm will be out for weeks. That's what we know. Weeks. No specific timeline, just weeks. Then you got St. Louis again. What's up?
I said that's not good.
Yeah, really bad timing. St. Louis again looking for revenge. They're 7-9, 6th in the Central. Jordan Kyrou still leading them in points. Nothing new there. Columbus, old friend Sean Corrali comes back to the Garden. The procession will be waiting for the King. 5-8-2 on the season, 8th in the Metro. They just got Dante Fabro on waivers from the Predators. Got a lot of right shot defensemen. Don't know what's going to give there. Interesting, but clearly like the player. Pro Marchenko, point per game player for them, 15 points in 15 games, 6 goals. They've lost 6 straight. So we'll see where they're at this point in time when that game rolls around. But tough sledding for the Blue Jackets, who had a nice start to the season. It has come falling back down to earth, and they are in 8th place in the Metro. Any notes for you? Anything you would like to see?
I mean, I'd like to see him play consistent like that. I mean, that's the obvious thing to say.
Let's get a 4-game winning streak going.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate
that.
One
on the road in Dallas. That would be nice too. Be huge.
A 4-game win streak.
They embarrassed you at home like 3 weeks ago.
I mean, I'm in a weird, especially after last night, I'm in a weird spot with this team because like you'd like a 4-game win streak, but like then I was gonna ask you like, would you like a 4-game win streak where they come out and like they dominate teams, or would you like a 4-game win streak where they come out, they get down like last night, but then they come from behind and win? Because I think both those things can show you something. Like a 4-game win streak where you come out and just dominate teams, that will show you like, okay, the Bruins are back. Like they figured some things out, things are looking great, or looking right at least, and you're heading in the right direction. But you come out, you have a game like last night, but you still win some games. You're like, all right, like they still have these problems, but at least they're scrappy, and maybe that they're not completely out of some of these games that they get down early in. So I don't know how I would like to see it. Like let's just start with like
I would like to see them piss on teams.
Yeah,
That's
I
my
think I
answer.
might. I would lean a little bit towards that way as well. Like I
We're
usually
kind of due for a game like that. Like maybe you get St. Louis again. Maybe it's a St. Louis game and it's not close and you beat
put
them
them
like
away early.
7-2.
Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
that'd be nice. I mean,
would be nice.
there are two get right games on this schedule coming up. Like the
Hmm.
Dallas one is obviously the one you hope they get up for, and just don't
Hmm.
get absolutely destroyed in. But if you can, like, say that happens, then again, you beat up on the, I almost said the Cardinals because I got the baseball segment I'm looking at. You beat up on the Blues, you beat up on Columbus, then you're like, all right, like, yeah, you kind of expected them to get their doors
Maybe
blown
they'll play
off
the
by Dallas,
Cardinals.
but
Maybe that'll be the game they win seven to
maybe,
two. Maybe the
yeah,
Cardinals will suit up and play hockey. So,
yep,
and then the Blues will switch up and play baseball at some point during the
yep.
season. That'd be funny.
You'll get the Guardians playing hockey
Yeah,
instead, maybe
yeah, right. The Guardians.
Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio,
Oh, I
right?
was talking about St. Louis.
Oh, yeah, but then I thought you said the Blue Jackets might suit up and play baseball at some point, didn't you? Am I not listening at this point? Am I
No, I
having a
said
brain
Blues,
fart?
or maybe I
Oh,
said Blue Jackets. I don't know. Who cares? Couple other notes. Couple minor trades. Vancouver sends Daniel Sprong back to Seattle for future considerations. Don't know what happened there, but Seattle just gets Daniel Sprong back. Wish the Bruins could have done that, honestly, even though he makes $2 million. Would have taken Daniel Sprong. And Lars Eller goes back to the Washington Capitals for a Chicago fifth-round pick in this year's draft and a 2027 third. So Capitals are buzzing, and they're already adding some depth because the Penguins said anybody besides Crosby essentially is available. So I hope that doesn't entice Don Sweeney and the Bruins because I don't want anybody on
yeah,
Pittsburgh
exactly. Yeah.
because they suck. But of course, would like a guy like Geno Malkin, but I don't think they're trading him.
No.
The TikTok they posted with him today was pretty funny too. It was like everybody talks about it's like that trend. Like everybody talks about Lemieux, Crosby, and Yager as the best player, but nobody talks about Geno. And then it turns around to him. He's like he wrote the caption. Like Derek
Uh-huh.
White did one of those. Pretty
Oh,
funny.
yeah, yeah, yep.
I was trying to remember as I was saying that who else did that. It was D White. But yeah, a couple trades. Maybe that does something to the early season trade market. Maybe it's just teams doing stuff. I don't know. But just wanted to mention those for anybody who didn't see them. Brian, Red Sox.
Yeah, there's
Take
been
it
a
away.
lot coming out about the Red Sox as we talked about at the start of the show. The rumor and the interest kings are back. Um, there may be a little bit of a different feel as we'll get into in a second because there, like I said, there have been a lot of rumors, and I saw you roll your eyes there. I kind of lean towards you as well. I said
Getting
this
into my
earlier
secret.
tonight with my dad at dinner. I said that's great that they're interested in all these guys, but I'll believe it when I see it. Because as we know, this has been the MO with this team in free agency the last handful of years. But I thought tonight, instead of just bouncing back and forth off of some of these, I would quickly, and I'm using Boston Strong's these tweets that this again don't know if it's a he or she that runs the account. So this person that runs the account has put out over the last couple of days and do some rapid fire thoughts on these. I believe it's 10 tweets that were put out. They're short, so it's not going to take all night here. But just give quick thoughts on some of these rumors and these names that have popped up if you're in or you're out, or just some overall thoughts. So the first one, pretty obvious. This one from Mark Feinsand saying on the Red Sox, quote, adding a number one starter to the group would seem to be a priority for Boston this offseason. To that, I say, yeah, I would hope so. But I will go a little bit further. If there is one number one option that you would like, or a couple, if you had to like rank your top three, who do you want the Red Sox to go after most?
Max Fried, Corbin Burns, probably Blake Snell 3.
Okay, is there a reason you have Fried before? Because I feel like a lot of people would have Corbin Burns before Fried. Why do you go the other way if you had to pick him over Burns?
I don't know,
Any
just gut.
particular reason?
Also, like, is Fried a lefty?
Yes,
Yeah. I feel like
that's
I don't
why.
know.
That's why I would lean Fried.
Yeah.
And there are people that seem to think that Fried
I
might
just
be a
like
better
drew.
fit
I
here
knew
than.
that, but I just drew a blank. I was like, wait, is he a lefty? Now I'm second guessing myself. So thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, Freed just the name pops a little more for me. I don't know. Like Burns would be great. Very,
Yep.
very cool with the idea of Burns. Maybe he tipped his hand after the World Series with that Dodgers tweet.
I think
Maybe
so.
he just
Yeah.
doesn't want to go anywhere else. Maybe he just wants a World Series. Respect, honestly. Um, just be funny, like them having Yamamoto, Burns, rookie Sasaki, like
hmm
God, conglomerate.
Roki Sasaki for them. I'll get to him a little later because he is in this slew of tweets. I did not know about Roki Sasaki that he is not going to get like a massive deal this season. He is going to sign basically, or can be signed, I think, basically for like a not a vet minimum, a minor league deal, basically. like is what he's going to get this offseason for I don't know what the rule is specifically. I forgot to look it up, but I think those are the tweets I've been seeing is he is not going to get the like 10-year, $200 million, $300 million contract that you saw Yamamoto get last year. He's basically getting like a 1 year, $1.5 million contract. So teams can sign him basically to a like minor league free agent deal. So like him to the
Huh? Who?
Dodgers,
What?
yeah,
Why?
I can't remember exactly. There's some rule or it's something to do with him being posted early or coming. I can't remember what it was exactly. People that are following the situation closer than I am that are listening know what I'm talking about, of course. But that's something I'll have to obviously have to look into and maybe get into a little more next week. For me, I'm still leaning Corbin Burns, my number one. Like Max Fried, I think is the more not reliable. What's the word I'm looking for here? Realistic, other R word. Because I think he is like friends with Luke. Him and Lucas Giolito were close. So if you want to have maybe a guy go on a little bit of a spree to try to get a guy to come here, I think maybe you could send Lucas Giolito to Max Fried's house and kind of try to convince him to come to Boston. Wouldn't hate either option, of course. I like where you're at with the three guys you mentioned. Number two, the Red Sox are one of the teams that have checked in on with shortstop Willy Adames. He is open to the idea of changing positions per source. This is something we talked about either last week or 2 weeks ago, when I think you brought him up at the end of the show or during the Red Sox segment. And I kind of said the same thing. Like, it wouldn't make a lot of sense unless he's willing to change position. And we didn't know that at the time. Um, where are you at on Willy Adames? Because I can't remember if you gave your thoughts on him last week or, like I said, whenever the last Red Sox segment was, or kind of your thoughts on him maybe moving positions or just open to the free agent at all. Or would you look elsewhere?
Um, I'm out. I don't think they need to shell out money for him.
Yeah,
I'd
he's an
rather just
interesting.
keep in-house options there. Move Sade on there if you need to.
Mhm.
You have Mayer, you have Campbell on the way. I'd rather just not like that. He's a good player, like just not a guy that jumps off the page enough as like a must-have when you have guys in the wings. You can move guys around. Um, it'd be fine. Like I'd rather take like a 1 year, a one
Mhm.
year second baseman, someone to add to the rotation
Yeah,
of middle infielders than throwing money at Adams.
yeah, I'm right there with you because, like I said last week, like I don't want to. No, I don't know because it wasn't specified. The original thought is he would move to second. I said this last week. He would move to second base. I think that's where a lot of people's minds go. I wonder if the position change might mean third base, same side of the infield as shortstop, and then that obviously there has been talk about Devers is going to have to become a DH at some point later on in his career, or just if he can't ever figure it out with the glove. Adames is a much better fielder, even in a different position, I think, than Devers is at third base. So maybe the move is there, but I'm going to say the same thing I said last week. Like I'm not like you just said, signing a long-term second baseman when you have a guy
Yeah,
like Campbell in the wing, waiting in the wings, or if you want to maybe transition Story back over there, if you keep Marcelo Mayer, then he's obviously your shortstop of the future. So I don't know why you would bog yourself down unless they maybe think Adames can DH, or again, you move him to third base and Devers
I would
becomes your
hate
DH.
that.
But
Don't like
yeah, exactly.
Devers or
It's just
Yoshida,
yeah.
even Casas at times, like
Mhm.
DH. Like
But then
no,
the thing too, I was looking up Adames' stats because I was trying to figure out, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, 32 homers last year, 112 RBIs. But looking at, and again, people don't read into batting average; they read into more of the advanced stats, which I'm not gonna nerd out about. He looking at just batting average alone would strike me as like the free agent that you sign and it just pisses you off to high hell. 251 last year, 217 the year before that, 238 in 2022. The year he was traded from the Rays to the Milwaukee Brewers in 2021. He hit 197 that year for the Rays, and then obviously tore it up with
well
Milwaukee at
said,
285. But
well said.
a career 248 hitter. There's too many inconsistencies for me. You probably feel the same way, as you continue to say, all set. Um, yeah, like I'm with you. I would put the money somewhere else. Like he wouldn't be the worst free agent signing. Don't get me wrong, but again, there are other needs on this team than another middle infielder.
Yeah, it's not something that gets me out of bed in the morning.
I honestly
Is what
wouldn't.
it is.
Again, you have guys waiting in the wings and these young guys, and you never know if prospects are going to pan out. But like, if you want to say they pull off a miracle and they do sign Juan Soto somehow, and you have to throw a ton of money at him, or if you go out and get a couple of pitchers, I would rather again throw the money there. And if that's the case, you add to your bullpen, you add to your rotation. I really wouldn't hate running it back if David Hamilton's healthy. Maybe you get something out of Vaughn Grissom this year, like you said, sign a 1 year
Yeah.
veteran. Like, wouldn't
What
hate
about
that if that's the plan for second
who's the
base.
guy? Isn't there a guy on the Padres that's like a second baseman.
Hassan Kim.
Hassan Kim, what about him?
He's
Is
gonna. I would
he's
have
not
to
gonna be a
assume.
1 year guy though, right?
No, he's gonna get multiple years, and
Yeah.
I think he's more of a shortstop because they moved Bogarts to second base for him to play short. So I don't know if he would then move back to second base if he were to sign with the Red Sox.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I don't know if like you could get him on maybe a 2 year deal. I wouldn't hate that, but I think he's probably gonna get like 3 to 4 if I had to guess.
Yeah, it
Um,
seems like a guy someone will give 3 or 4.
Yeah, exactly. The next one talks about Chris Martin. Said doesn't sound very promising that Chris Martin is signing back with the Red Sox. Per Christopher Smith on Twitter, the quote that was referenced was obviously this is from Craig Breslow. Quote: Obviously, it's pretty clear that he had value. Chief Baseball Officer Craig Breslow said at the GM meetings on Wednesday. We saw that when he was pitching and when he didn't. We didn't have him available to pitch, so we know we have some work to do in kind of rebuilding the bullpen with obviously could see there being a fit there. Um, I don't know that I read that it doesn't jump out to me that he's not coming back. I don't know if people are reading more into we had the value he had. Maybe people are reading that and seeing like, oh, Brezo's talking in past tense, so that means that Chris Martin's gone. Where are you at on him? Would you bring him back? Getting up there in age, wasn't very healthy last year. I think was had like 2 or 3 different IL stints. 38 years old, 3.45 ERA last year. Would you bring him back if you're the Red Sox, or would you maybe look to go on a younger direction, or just because there are decent relievers this year, maybe a better option than Chris Martin?
Yeah, like I'd be cool bringing him back from what he's capable of,
Hmm.
but I understand and wouldn't be upset if they didn't. Like he's 30, the injury troubles and the age, like, is what it is. It's just not a guy they need to chomp at the bit to get back, but like if they bring him back, I'm fine with it. So that's where I'm at.
All right, I'm right there with you. We're in agreement on that. Number 4, John Heyman adds the Red Sox to the group of teams that can make a play for Juan Soto. This was from the article he had. I don't know who the other 4 teams were, but he had the Red Sox at number 5, saying, "Word is they are quietly laying the groundwork to begin spending and competing again after completely laying low for years, which would hurt the Yankees more. Which would hurt the Yankees more?" is the question he asks. If he went to the Mets or to Boston, tough call there. Um, your thoughts on that question? If you go Juan Soto to the Mets or Juan Soto to the Red Sox, which hurts the Yankees more? I'll start there. In your opinion, like I feel like there's an obvious answer, but
It's like the New York factor is tough.
yeah.
Like
And I also
building a
think
different
too,
New
it's like,
York
do
team.
do the Yankees see the Red Sox as still like Juan Soto is the one guy they get? Do the Yankees see the Red Sox as threats with Juan Soto still? Like I don't know how they
Maybe.
view the Red Sox after years of the Red Sox kind of not doing anything. And like you said, there is the crosstown factor or cross city factor of like he goes to the
Yeah,
Mets,
I
like
think like maybe the Red Sox like a little bit because of what the rivalry was and how it could be reignited. Like,
mhm.
I don't know. There's potential, like, of course, especially if Soto comes in and like hits a bomb in his first game of Yankee
Yeah, true.
Stadium and like bad flips or something. I
Mhm.
think Red Sox like a slight edge of like what hurts them more, to be
Okay.
honest.
I did see somebody sum it up. It was either on Twitter or it was a TikTok I saw that was perfectly summed up. It was a picture of Jacoby Ellsbury in a Red Sox uniform and then obviously switching over to the Yankees. And the caption was like, "Hey Yankees fans, remember when you took our MVP finalist outfielder and signed him to a multi-million-dollar contract? Get ready for this." And it was a picture obviously then of Juan Soto in a Red Sox uniform. So that'd be kind of interesting to see if the Red Sox can maybe go full circle there. Um, Juan Soto's name has come up a little bit. There's been talks. I think he is going to visit with the Red Sox this week. This was jumping ahead here to number 8. Said, quote, breaking the Red Sox have a meeting scheduled with Juan Soto and Scott Boras this week. They have him, quote, on top of their want list and will be as aggressive as they are in the pitching market via Jeff Passan. The latest from Passan as well is the Red Sox remain interested in Teoscar Hernandez. They still would like to bring Tyler O'Neill back. Max Fried is considered a, quote, perfect match, and Nick Pivetta is expected to reject the qualifying offer. A lot to unpack there, but we'll stick with the Juan Soto stuff for now. Where are you at on how realistic you think he is of coming to Boston? Obviously, they have a meeting with him, so they're gonna try to pitch themselves to Juan Soto and see how that goes. Um, but this one, to me, if there is a free agent that is a smokescreen, you know, all show and mirrors here, this is the one for me. Like I don't think they're realistically going to be in on Juan Soto.
I think they're going to be in on Juan Soto. I don't think they're going to get super close on Juan
Okay.
Soto. Like they'll make an offer. It just like even if it's a competitive, I just don't know if he's going to pick the Red Sox. There
Mhm.
is the Dominican factor. Like he has talked highly of the Red Sox, and of course, Devers could be a good part of that pitch. Talking about current guys on the roster. Of course, we know the guys like Pedro and Big Poppy,
I was gonna
but
say David Ortiz has wanted him here for like 3 straight years.
yeah.
So
So you hope that's enough, but it just comes down to the money too. Like that's a guy to me that I think the money is going to mean something to him a
mhm.
lot because he's going to get a lot of it.
He basically
And
admitted that in his kind of
yeah,
walkaway interview with the Yankees. Like, and people got pissed
like
at him for that. But
I don't know if he's like. Do you how much of a percentage chance do you think there is he just goes back to the Yankees?
mm, see, I don't know how to put a percent because baseball is so weird. But it's tough.
Yeah,
Like, it's not like 50-50 because there are obviously more teams that are involved. So it's not like it's gonna be one against another team. But like, I would put it pretty high of him going back to the Yankees more so than I would signing with a different team right now. Because like I feel like the Yankees are kind of in the sense where I feel like they almost might have to try to pay him the most after how last year ended. Like if obviously
yeah,
you lose
like
the World
right,
Series and then you lose out on Juan Soto, like you better have a backup plan because that fan base is
yeah,
going to turn very quick if you lose Juan Soto and then replace him with like Christian Walker's a good first baseman. He's been linked there, but like you get Christian Walker and like a lesser second baseman and try to sell that to Yankees fans after you lose Juan Soto, like they're not going to take that.
yeah. I also just think too the Mets would love the opportunity to steal him from the Yankees, throw a bunch of
Absolutely.
money at him.
That's what I'm rooting for. Is because again, I don't think the Red Sox are going to be a realistic player. Like once the money starts flying around and you start to hear what teams might be rumored to offer, like I think the Red Sox it's going to be too sweet for their pockets. So the Mets are the team that I want to see him go to the most. Obviously, other than the Red Sox.
Yeah, like I think the Red Sox can make a pretty good pitch if they're willing to.
Hmm.
It just comes down to the money and whether he wants to stay in New York or not. Is he talked like going back to the New York stuff? Like he talked like a guy that was ready to move on. That's
It
part of the
seemed
reason
like
why
it.
I'm a little confused.
Yep.
Like didn't seem super committed after they lost in the World Series. That can of course change.
Hmm. The timing of
So
that
I don't know.
question is
Like
always
there's
stupid to me too. Like they do it in every
yeah
sport where it's like you just lost a World Series or a Super Bowl, and it's like you're thinking about your future. It's like
yeah.
really, and that's when people
There's
get
that
mad at
too.
guys
Yeah
for
yeah
being like a-holes, being like we just lost. Like I'm not thinking about that. But I think that's the right answer every time. Like why would you ask a guy a question about something that's going to happen 3 or 4 months from now? Like I find
yeah.
that dumb every time that gets
I'm
asked.
a little hazy on the whole thing right now. Like I don't know how it's going to play out, but if the Red Sox want him, they can get him. Like no doubt in my mind, they can get him. It's
Mhm.
the will.
If the
It's
Red
it's
Sox are going to
certainly
get
the
him, I think you're
will.
going to have to see other moves because like if I'm being honest, he doesn't really fit the roster right now. Like you have an outfield. I mean, you have a ton. If you bring him in without doing anything else, you have a ton of lefties in your lineup right now, which isn't a bad thing. But like,
Mhm.
you do it does. You obviously want to play the matchup game more so than not. So like, you have a ton of lefties that might not be the best looking lineup. Um, he's an outfielder, but like I would you're not going to play him in right field at Fenway most of the season because it's he's not a great defensive outfielder. He's good.
Mhm.
So maybe you transition him to left field, and see if that works. But I think if you start, it's going to be tough. Like I still think priority number one for the Red Sox should be looking to move Yoshida in some sort of trade, get rid of that contract, and try to free up some money there. So maybe you have to attach a prospect to that. But if you see them somehow pull off a trade and get him out of there, if you see Willie Abreu traded, that opens up a spot in right field. You maybe add a pitcher moving him. Some of those guys start to go, then maybe I'll believe a little more. Okay, maybe they're looking to bring in a guy like Hernandez, like I mentioned, or maybe they have a chance to bring in Juan Soto if he hasn't already signed. If these moves are to go down, so I'm kind of curious to see what the other dominoes are that fall first, and maybe if the Red Sox tip their hand a little bit in what they might be trying to do. But again, it comes down to I'll see it when I believe it. Or I'll believe it when I see it, rather.
That was good. That was
Nope.
good. That one's one you just gotta laugh at.
Yep. Just got to take it and
Um,
roll with the punches.
yeah, I'm hopeful too. I do want to there are questions you can bring up, like you said, about the necessity, like, and well, they need the player. That I shouldn't say necessity, but like the
Mhm.
fit, the lefty righty balance, which you shouldn't care about too much when you're talking about a player as transformational as Juan Soto can be. But
Exactly.
like it,
Yeah.
it is a part of the discussion, maybe
Hmm.
more so when you're talking about a lesser player that you may or may not need as much. You know, any team can use a guy like Juan Soto, but
True.
um,
But then too,
yeah,
you
I
think
don't know.
about
It's
the
going to be a fascinating saga to follow,
mhm.
especially if the Mets steal him from the Yankees.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing too, I was gonna say again, like I'm with you, like lefty righty shouldn't matter too much, but then you start to look down the line of prospects coming up. We've talked about this before. Roman Anthony, left-handed hitter. Kyle Teal, left-handed hitter. Marcelo Meyer, if he sticks with this team, lefty. So like then you're potentially looking at if you find spots for those guys, your entire lineup is left-handed, which is not going to be a good thing. And that makes obviously pitching to you pretty easy. So like I said, you like that balance,
Yeah.
but I'm with you. It is dumb to say. It's like, yeah, you wouldn't bring in Juan Soto just because you have lefties in your team. Like that's stupid. I get where people would
That'll be
come from
part
on
of the
that
pitch.
argument,
They'll be like, you
but
have to become a switch. Can you become a switch hitter?
yeah, can you go to the right side of the plate for us? Try to learn how to
He's
hit that
probably
way
good
so
enough
we
to be a
can
decent switch hitter, to be honest.
probably like
Yeah, but
wouldn't disagree with that.
skill
Um,
doesn't necessarily quantify all the way with hand-eye and dexterity, anything else that's
no,
involved.
God no.
Because
Yeah,
man, hey, I've tried to play baseball righty. It's not easy. No, I'm a lefty hitter, so
yeah. All right.
yeah.
On to the number five. Again, this is just names we've kind of heard already. Players linked and rumors with the Red Sox so far. Corbin Burns, Garrett Crochet, Willie Adames. We're out on Adames. Corbin Burns are both in our top three for pitchers, and Garrett Crochet is the interesting one. Obviously, he will not cost just money. You'd have to give up prospects for him. But there are some rumblings of what that prospect, maybe trio or, um, you know, four guys could take to get Garrett Crochet. Where are you at on him? Crochet's an interesting one, guy that was pretty vocal last year, but if I get traded, I want to have an extension in place. That was always the trade deadline, so maybe he's come off that a little bit, or has become less demanding. A guy obviously that was kind of not shut down, but had an innings limit last year in his first full year as a starter. I'd have to assume Crochet is at the top of your list when it comes to pitchers you'd like in a Red Sox uniform, or you maybe looking to strictly stick with the free agent market and maybe not give up a ton of prospects if that would be the case for a guy like Crochet.
Yeah, I got to be honest, and a lot of people might not be in this camp at all at this point. I'm the first year as a starter thing last year does worry me a little bit about committing to him so much as a starter and paying him,
Mm-hmm.
but he's got a little psycho in him, and he's really good. And it sounds like you might be able to get him without Mayer, Campbell, or Teal. That is something you just like have to take advantage of, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows what that means? Like if it's Willier and like two or three prospects, if it's Willier and like four prospects, do it. And I love Willier Abreu. I've loved him since the start. But if you got to trade him to get a guy like Garrett Crochet, you should do it to make your baseball team better. Because in an ideal world, you can keep all four of these guys. You might not, but man, like you could be set for years and years and years if you got Christian Campbell and Marcelo Mayer holding it down in the infield, and you got Jared Durant outside of that. Hopefully, you can keep him long term. You got Devers, you got Casas, Rafaela, you got Roman Anthony and Kyle Teal. Like people talk the future of this Red Sox lineup up for a reason, and unfortunately, to make the rest of the team work, you might have to give up another good young player, Willier Abreu, and more. Maybe it's Miguel Bleis, maybe it's Wickelman Gonzalez, uh, whoever else. Maybe Mikey Romero's in there. I don't know. Um,
Josty Nixon Garcia, however you say that kid's name that I told you about tonight, because that was
yeah,
the one. I wish I could find the tweet because I'm like
oh man,
99% sure it came from that podcast that Rob Bradford does. Um, and I
that
think
name is crazy. Doesn't Is
the
that the same name as the Noel guy on the
no, I thought it was too.
Guardians?
Before I texted you earlier
It's a
today, I'm like,
similar
oh,
looking
it's
name though.
I can't think of that guy's name either.
God,
I think
I
he's
no
John
no no
Kenzie or
offense to
something.
these families that name their kids this, but I hope we don't see a trend with like baseball players all having crazy names like that because it's going to be really hard to talk about baseball if there's a
Sometimes
million
it's
of these
cool, but
guys in the
like when you
league.
have that, I think the tweet I saw basically summed it up was like the Red Sox trio would be Cutter Crawford, it was Willie Abreu, and then it was password first name Garcia is how this person worded it
I'm
because
sorry,
like no one knows how to say his first name, so
I don't know how Cutter Crawford has much value at all
I
after
don't
having like a
either. But like
million home runs.
if you can con the White Sox into picking him up for Crochet like that, this is my favorite time of year when
Yeah.
you have all these batshit crazy uh trades that people think are worthwhile. And like you texted me too, like if the White Sox don't get any of the top four prospects, for Garrett Crochet, like that's a fireable offense, and I 100% agree with you. Or that might not have
Yeah,
been the exact thing you texted me, but basically along the lines of that. Um, like that, you're doing a disservice. And William Bray is a good player. Like, don't get me wrong, and obviously his value is pretty high right now, coming off a Gold Glove, and still on a rookie contract and all those other variables. Uh, but if he is the lone centerpiece of that deal, and you're not getting like Marcelo Mayer back, I don't think Roman Anthony's getting dealt. I wouldn't deal Teal as we talked about earlier today. And who was the other one we were discussing? Campbell. Like I wouldn't deal any of those three guys. Uh, Again, I've said this for a while. Mayer is the guy I would dangle at teams and at the White Sox if it takes Crochet. Uh, but if you're not giving up any of those guys and you're giving up the number
yeah.
10 outfielder or number 10 prospect, number I think 3 outfield prospect in your organization, and a pitcher who, like you said, I don't know what the value that Cutter Crawford has right now. I can't imagine it's too high. And Abreu, like that's a deal. If you're the Red Sox, you do in a heartbeat, and if you're the White Sox, you do that deal. Somebody gets fired the next day because that is not even
Yeah.
close to enough of a return for Crochet.
So what if it comes down to like the Sox having to give up a bunch? And you can say if you wouldn't do this, if you were the Sox, like what if it's Willier Mayer and Miguel Blyce? Are you doing that if you're the Red
Yep,
Sox? Or yeah,
I
okay,
would
I figured,
because I
but
think
yeah, like what if they come to their senses and they're like, yeah, we're not doing it unless it's something like this. Like you still probably do it, right?
yeah, absolutely.
I'm
I
gonna
think you
hate if they have to give up Marcelo Mayer, but like I
it's
we
worked
talked
out
about this
before
probably like
giving up a.
2 months,
Mhm.
like 2 months ago. I really don't want to, and I have my like questions about Crochet, not really concerns, but like
Mhm.
he better earn that
No, it's fair.
extension.
I 100% agree with you on that aspect. Like there are some unknowns again. Like how can he
Hmm.
continue to, like you said, 1 year as a starter is not a whole lot to go off of. Like, and a
Yeah,
guy
like
that
I don't want to trade Miguel Blyce, but like, does he really have a long term spot like in this team in the future?
say
You
probably
probably just
not. Yeah.
trade him because he's valuable and like kind of like, hey, we don't know if he's gonna have a spot. So like, what if we hold on to him and then in 2 years he still doesn't have a spot and you're like, damn, you wish you traded him.
You probably yeah. Yep.
Tried or at least tried to leverage him in a trade a little harder
Hmm.
because he's a great player, but like when you have a log jam, not everybody's gonna play, so you'd have to be proactive. So
Nope. Yeah, and then you think of too, like if you sign Hernandez or O'Neill like that, I'm sure they'll split time at D or one of those guys will DH at times. But again,
yeah,
there's an outfielder spot or an outfield spot you have locked up for 3 to 4 years. You already have Duran, who I don't know if you're going to extend, but I think he's still on a young uh, rookie contract or has arbitration eligible, so he's going to be around for a while. You have Anthony, who is profiled as a right fielder, and then I feel like people always forget like Braden Montgomery is already your number 4 or 5 prospect in your
yeah.
organization. So there's high hopes for him too, and he's an outfielder. So you don't have a lot of spots for, again, your top prospects are shortstops and outfielders. You can't really play a lot of those guys at a lot of positions other than only a couple. So you're gonna have to move some of these guys
Now we
eventually,
just hope they get like a premier pitcher. Like
right?
that's when the excitement level is going to be full speed ahead for me. It's when they just get an absolute
Get a
stud
stud
pitcher
pitcher finally.
prospect.
Well, that's
Yeah,
the thing. We talked about this when that I can't remember who had the report that came out, but it was basically like the White Sox are asking for position players, and like both of us immediately clicked in our mind like that. Red Sox have all like that is what the Red Sox have. They have
yeah,
little to no pitching prospects, so that's a huge blessing for the Red Sox. Is that the White Sox, because their organization is the complete opposite when it comes to how their prospects are structured out. Um, so like that's a deal. That one is like you look at you're like, all right, cool. This might be something to latch onto if you're a Red Sox fan. This rumor, because the Red Sox have the ability to make it work. It literally is only going to come down to, like you said, if the White Sox ask for a crazy amount back in return, and if the Red Sox, want to go that crazy route, or can maybe get the White Sox to kind of talk it down here. We're only giving up one of those, top 4 guys. And again, it doesn't seem like it's going to be Anthony. You hope it's not Teal because it wouldn't make a ton of sense. Like if you want to develop him
yeah.
up and then you move him
I
in
really
a
want them
year
to
or two,
keep
like
Theo.
yeah.
Yeah, but
But we
well,
shall see on
interesting.
that. One guy that is always pretty polarizing this time of year, Scott Boras, has made his comment on the Red Sox. He said, quote, the Red Sox are definitely letting us know that ownership is committed, that they're wanting to secure high-level players, and that they're definitely planning on being very active in the free agent market. That was via The Athletic. Um, Scott Boras, as we know, is one of the best snake oil salesmen in the league. Uh, any thoughts on his comments? Like, I feel like maybe this is the people have in the past have been like, oh, it's something John Henry would do, kind of get to Scott Boras, say, hey, put us in these rumors, put us, put our name in there to say that we've been in on guys and we really haven't been. Um, I don't know. This feels a little different to me because of all the stuff you're seeing that they're gonna push hard and they're gonna. What was the thing you sent me? I think early, right before we jumped on here, something like John Henry is back in being aggressive or whatever the tweet was.
Yeah,
That
back is the key word.
yeah,
Like he
exactly.
wasn't
But
there, like he didn't care.
mhm.
Um, yeah, like I'm in a similar camp. Like it could be John Henry speaking to Boris, like, hey, can you put us in this? But like the tone does feel a little different, and I'm not just gonna ignore that. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm right there with you as well. This was the Roki Sasaki tweet that I mentioned. This was the number 7 tweet said Craig Breslow took a trip to Japan to see Roki Sasaki pitch towards the end of the last season, and the Red Sox would be involved in his sweepstakes. This is from The Athletic as well, saying, quote, Roki Sasaki will likely prioritize stability, lifestyle, comfort, and according to league sources, a team's track record with player development. And that one kind of scares me because we just talked about the Red Sox don't tend to develop pitchers all that well. So they've had a couple of success stories.
Yeah.
Obviously, Halk and Bayo have looked decent. John Lester is obviously the best pitching prospect they developed, probably in their history, or at least a recent history. So that one might be a little worrisome. Uh, but that is like we talked about. Again, I don't have the specifics, but we know that Sasaki is not going to make a massive amount of money this year. I think he's basically again signing what's like the equivalent of a rookie deal. Um, I'm trying to find the article that I saw. This was from Steve. I just pulled it up. Maluski, an article about Roki Sasaki. Say Roki Sasaki will likely make a big impact for some MLB team, but at a small initial price. And one of the comments in this article says he cannot be given a massive contract per the rules. In fact, while Corbin Burns may sign a $200 million or more contract, it's possible that Sasaki could actually get $2 million or less. So that is something to keep in mind.
That's
Again,
the
I don't.
rule. That's preposterous.
Yeah, I don't. I'm trying to find in the article what the like if it mentions what the rule is, but
Like Yamamoto came over and cut 325 million,
oh
and
yeah, here it is. I got it.
Sasaki.
Because he is because at age 23 Sasaki is too young to qualify to be signed as a quote foreign professional, and he instead
Oh,
will be signed per MLB rules as a quote international amateur, meaning
so he's just he'll just get paid a billion in like a few years. So
exactly. He'll sign a 1 year deal because it says meaning he will be signed as a minor league free agent.
wow,
So I think this is basically like remember when teams will trade for international bonus pool spending? Like you always see those transactions come up. I think that's what this is. So because then I'm not going to read it, but later on in the article, this author goes on to mention like the Angels have this or the Dodgers have this much, um, just over 2.5 million in international pool spending. Goes into what the Yankees have, the Orioles have. So all these big market teams or bigger success teams that can maybe make a push for Sasaki. But that is an interesting thing to keep in mind is the Red Sox don't have to pay an arm and a leg to bring Sasaki in at least for this season. I'm with you. He'll sign this 1 year deal and then he'll get paid a half a million, $1 billion next year or in a couple years. But that is interesting that he's prioritizing stability. Red Sox really haven't had stability over these last couple of years, so maybe that's something that he
yeah,
kind of shies away from.
yeah,
Lifestyle, Boston, I feel like a lot of people think is a pretty decent place to live around, especially if you're a superstar athlete like Sasaki would most likely be. Comfort, I don't know about that with the dysfunction that the Red Sox tend to have at times. Uh, so after hearing that, any strong opinions on that? I feel like you're still kind of in the boat, surprised at the fact that he is not going to make a ton of money this year. You can get him on basically what is a minor league contract.
yeah. I don't think he's coming here like flat out, and I
Okay,
think he's gonna be a Dodger.
I am
And
right there with you.
yeah, that's just I felt this way for like the past year. I'm just not gonna change my tune. He's just gonna sign with the Dodgers.
Yeah, and the fact that
Um,
the Dodgers won the World
Yoshida's
Series
one of
too,
your
like
hopes if you keep him around. Like
true.
Yoshida can, talk about his experience here coming in here as a Japanese player. Um,
That could also
but
backfire though, because like you could talk about like, hey, yeah, I was
yeah,
brought in as this premier free agent to play the outfield for him, and a year in, they basically don't want me, and they move
that
me to
too.
DH.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
maybe he's not
They're
the best
not gonna
pitch
get
man.
him. They're not.
No, I'm
He's
right there
gonna
with
sign
you.
with
He's
the
going to the
Dodgers. So
Dodgers or like the Mets, somewhere that's like obviously can't pay. You
yeah, they
know,
got Senga too, and
yeah,
the Mets.
yeah,
So
yep. So I'm right there with you. Like I think I tweeted it out when it came out that he was being posted or is going to be posted. Like just announce that he's signing with the Dodgers already. Like let's just skip
yeah,
the show of he's going to meet with this team and this team's going to meet with them. And I tweeted out jokingly like the Otani thing. He's on a plane to Toronto when he's really not on a plane to Toronto. Like let's just skip all that crap and just announce that he's signing
What
with
if
the
that happens
Dodgers.
with Soto too? He's like he's on a plane to Toronto, but he's not actually on a plane to Toronto.
We'll
Like
get
that
the
Otani thing just with
Bob
Soto.
Nightingale tweet, or not? Who was it? Wasn't Nightingale? Surprisingly, that he's signing with a team, or he's signing with the Giants, and then it ends up that he's not signing with San Francisco, and they get scored with another big name free agent. Like, imagine if that happens again.
That would be something.
That would be. Coming down to the end of it here. Mentioned Willie Abreu earlier. This was from Jim Bowden. Said Jim Bowden on Willie Abreu, quote, if Boston can put together a trade to land a strong pitcher, such as Garrett Crochet, they can afford to move Abreu despite his stellar debut. They have another young right fielder, Roman Anthony, who is even a better prospect. Excuse me. So that kind of, we already touched on that a little bit. Roman Anthony, very similar, not very similar, but again, left-handed hitting profiles as the right fielder. Should make Abreu expendable. Yeah, you don't want to move Abreu after a good start that he had. Looks like a guy you can maybe, not build the entire lineup around, but you know what I mean. He's potentially could be a piece in your lineup for years to come. Um, it's the situation that you're in. You have all these prospects. If you don't want to move off of them, you have to trade off the major league roster. And at this point, Abreu is one of your top guys to move. And again, if the White Sox think he's a guy that can center a trade for Crochet, I think it would be stupid for the Red Sox to pass that up. Like, you have the options to move on from him.
Yeah, he just makes the most sense, and like you're not gonna like it's either him or like Duran's the other guy you're gonna
Yep, I
trade
was
for
just gonna
Crochet,
say
and they're
that
not
it
gonna
comes
do
down to
that.
which one do you want to move on
Like
from,
you're
and I
not
think
gonna trade. I don't think they're gonna trade Sadon. Like he's another guy you could
nope,
trade
that would
off the
be
roster
incredibly
conceivably.
dumb. Yep.
But that would be dumb, and you just signed into an 8-year extension last year. Like that's not gonna happen. But like
Mm-hmm.
conceivably off the roster, like you could trade him, but that just wouldn't like for the player. But then the contract screws that
Mm-hmm.
all up. Why would the fuck would they do that? Um,
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. It comes down to Abreu versus Duran. Which one of those guys do you want to move? And I think 99% of people would say we'll move on from Abreu.
Yeah, it sucks because he's so likable and he's good, but it just makes sense here. It just kind of
Mhm.
is what it is type of scenario.
Absolutely, I'm right there with you. And then the last one to get maybe some people's hopes up, to get some excitement. The Red Sox are one of multiple teams showing interest in right-handed pitcher Nathan Eovaldi. That was from Rob Bradford, I believe, last night. Um, Probably a no-brainer. Probably stupid to ask, but Nathan Eovaldi, where you at on him? Would you bring him back? You are good on Nathan Eovaldi. Thumbs up. You would bring him back. Trying to find out. 34 years
Let
old.
Pavetta go somewhere else. Sign Evaldi.
I'm
That's
perfectly
what I would
fine with
like.
that as well. I think I saw somebody say I can't remember if it was a TikTok or somebody on Twitter, but Nathan Eovaldi, 2 years, $40 million contract,
Yeah,
done. Put pen to paper, sign that up. Maybe it's crazy to give him $20 million at age 34, but I'm with you. If you lose
yeah,
Pavetta but you bring back Eovaldi, like I think that's a decent trade off.
yeah. Pavetta just it sounds like he's going elsewhere, so like just kind of is what it is. So
Yep, and that
just
is
said
really it.
that 2 minutes ago, but it's another is what it is scenario. If he wants to go play for the Cubs, Dodgers, Mets, I think were the three teams I saw, then he's going to do that. He feels like a
He'd be a
Cubs.
decent get. I was just gonna say the
Feels like a
same
Cubs
thing. He
guy.
feels like a decent get for the Cubs. Like, the
Feels
Cubs
like a
aren't a team
Cubs
that's
guy.
going to spend a lot of money on like big, or they're going to try to. Obviously, they did it with Bellinger a couple years ago. Um, but like Pavetta feels like a more middle of the road type of, like, we're not going to try to hit the home run with some of these massive contracts. Although I thought I saw they might be in on Soto as well, or we'll kick the tires on him. But like Pavetta sounds like a more stable option for them to kind of
That would be interesting
tread the
if he
waters
went
with. Yeah.
to the Cubs.
Well, apparently did you see the Rays apparently want to check in on him? It's like, cool. Tampa Bay will offer him a 10-year, $100 million
And they
contract, and be
can't even
like,
can't they not even play in the Trop I saw yesterday until like 2026?
yep. So they get bigger fish to figure out, or bigger fish to fry, of where the hell they're playing baseball for the next year, instead of who's going to be playing for them. It'll be
Yeah,
something if
man,
Juan
that's
Soto ends
something.
up as a Tampa Bay Ray, though.
That would suck. That would make all this
It will.
not
It'd be
worth
such a
it.
waste of a talent. There was somebody
Yeah,
they gave a big. I can't remember who it was. It wasn't Judge. There was somebody a year or two ago where it came out. They gave a big contract to, and people were like, "Wow, look at the Rays going and actually trying to make a name for themselves and get." I can't remember who that free agent was.
I can't either.
Yeah, but it was a bit of a surprise. But yeah, that's where we're at. Red Sox stuff right now. Again, super early on. A lot of rumors. I think the only like notable name that I saw get signed was Travis d'Arnaud. Signed a 2-year deal with the Angels, and then like 2 minutes later, I immediately saw somebody made a picture of him with like a shocked look on his face, and the comment under was like, "I thought I signed with the LA Dodgers." But so good luck to him. He'll be one of those decent free agents the Angels bring in, and then they won't do anything with, because like the Angels, they
And they'll
just
trade him.
Exactly. They'll move him for a couple of prospects you've never heard of and probably won't see the light of day. Um, so we'll see what happens. Again, kind of in wait and see mode right now with the Red Sox. And again, we will see it when, or believe it. I did it again. Believe it when we see it, type of thing with Boston.
It's kind of how we be with this team, huh?
Until things change. Again, like I think there
Until things
is.
change.
I I know I'm gonna sound and feel stupid because we've been burned before. Uh, but like I don't know, something about this year does feel different. Like it does feel like they're going to give a little bit more of a push. And again, maybe that's because you're starting to hear that from more sources. But again, that just could be smoke and mirrors. And we could be in for another long off season. You hope that's not the case, though.
Yeah. Hopefully, we're at the enough is enough stage of
Exactly.
this all.
Yep.
That's going to wrap it up for episode 215 of Sound and Cratty. Thank you so much for listening, new and old listeners. You can find us on YouTube and Twitch, full press coverage. You can find us on Spotify and Apple. Like, comment, subscribe on all those types of platforms. Podbean, Podchaser. You can find us on Twitter at Mike_Cratty, at Ryan_Salvaggio, and the show at Sound and Cratty Pod. You can also find us on TikTok. Still the name of the show into the search bar. See you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, be nice to people, all that good stuff. And we will talk to you then.